Are you just resting Dakota? Welcome everyone to Jimmy John's Field. Just about underway here in this Sunday Funday action. It's the Beavers against the home Utica Unicorns here today at Jimmy John's Field in downtown Utica. Jeremy Otto alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. Oh yes, this is Dan Griesbaum Jr. with me here today. Good to have you back here in our My Michigan TV pregame show. In the stands, we welcome you. Hope you have a good day and a hot day in Metro Detroit. And we're kind of getting to the nitty-gritty here in terms of playoffs.
Oh man, it's that time of year, isn't it? Despite the beautiful weather, it's fall baseball right around the corner. This is exciting. The games mean a little bit more. Managers starting to line up their pitching, and it's exciting. This is the time of year that you live for in baseball.
And when you look at the lineup here today, and we'll obviously dive into that a little bit more as this broadcast progresses, a couple guys missing from the Unicorns lineup here today that are staples. Obviously, Drew Galassi and Ari Sakopoulos. I guess it's also that time of the year when you've clinched first place like the Unicorns have to rest a few guys if you need.
Yeah, you earn that luxury when you have a great regular season, and I'm sure Jim Messian wants to rest those guys, make sure they're 100%. Maybe he doesn't want to show them to the Beavers pitching staff one more time, although I don't think there's that many secrets at this time of year. But you never know, a little bit of strategy, but just making sure they're 100% for next week.
And in terms of the playoff picture going forward, so we mentioned that the Unicorns clinched first place the other day. The Beavers, with a win here today, can clinch first place as well. And then we believe that the third seed will be clinched with a magic number of 2, so combined Mammoth's loss and a couple Hoppers wins. So that, rests a lot on the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I actually really like the playoff system here. I think it's a great balance of being fair to the teams that did well in the regular season and also giving everybody a chance. The Unicorns clearly earned the right to be the 1 seed. They earned that right to play in the championship game. Beavers also had a nice season, and with a win today, they can find a way to give themselves a little bit of a leg up, go straight to that game on Saturday, and have a chance to face either the Hoppers or the Mammoths. And they will have earned that right as well.
Well, we've talked about it on the air in the past, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on this as well because you were with us in 2020, and we saw the very same fact. The Unicorns clinched the number 1 seed. They sat all the way to Sunday. I guess, what do you think is the better advantage there?
You know what? First of all, remember, you're talking to an old Detroit Tigers front office guy here, so I'm a little bit biased. I don't love sitting around. My history with the Tigers is that sitting around is a little bit dangerous. But
right.
That being said, the Unicorns did that the last 2 years, and it worked out just fine for them. I remember in 2020, they had that deep pitching staff. They had that nasty back end of the bullpen, and it just felt like if you have to play them in one game and they have all of their arms available, that's pretty dangerous,
Right.
And it played out that way. They outlasted the Beavers in that championship game just because of the depth of the pitching staff in 2020. How will it play out this year? I don't know. But sitting around for a long time in baseball, that's not my favorite thing, generally speaking.
Obviously, the Hoppers have a lot of work to do if they want to, and some luck involved. Obviously, the Beavers can't really win anymore going down the stretch if they want to jump up to the number 2 seed. But that, on the other hand, is kind of uncharted territory in this league as well in terms of playing 3 days in a row, stacking your pitching staff. It's a situation, whether you're looking at high school, college, or pro, you can't save guys. You can't save arms according to who you're playing.
That's right. I think the only thing that you can maybe do is look at your opponent and maybe play matchup a little bit. If
Right.
You've got a lefty and a righty that are maybe comparable, you think one of your potential opponents has a harder time with lefties, then maybe you do save a guy in that situation and try to catch lightning in a bottle. There's also the fact that you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen within the course of a game. What if a game goes 11 or 12 innings? So it's hard to plan beyond just that first day.
In terms of what we have here today in the pitching matchup, brought to you by Ascension, Jesse Galindo will go for the Beavers. A guy who hasn't started much, Jake Fiorito has down the stretch. Fiorito has been very dependable. Galindo, though, taking a look at his numbers, he's obviously been very effective out of the bullpen because of the motion that he has and what he's able to do with some of his pitches. But he was effective his last start.
Yeah, it looks like a couple of guys really that throw strikes, mix it up a little bit. They're not necessarily overpowering types, but they miss the barrels and find a way to give their team a chance to win. And they've earned the right to pitch in some big games, not just today, but the ones coming up next weekend.
In days like this, obviously the Beavers want to win here today, but it gives you an opportunity to start Galindo again, see where he hails, and see what the best role, I guess, is for him heading into the playoffs.
Chances are the Beavers will end up in that semifinal game on Saturday the 10th. When you're Von Joshua, you're looking at a game like that. You need probably 4 or 5 pitchers, even if you're lucky, to get through not just that game, but the championship game as well. If you remember from that 2020 that we lived through, the Beavers had to get real deep into the bullpen in that championship game, and those are the kind of things. You've got a depth chart, and you're lining those things up, and it's a nice opportunity to see what they have today.
Well, this year on the front office side of things as well, so I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about what's coming up in terms of the next couple weeks. Obviously, Championship weekend speaks for itself, but what do we have next week coming up?
You know, that Labor Day weekend is always something special in terms of just the local population that chooses to not go out of town. It's nice to have a little bit of entertainment in town if you choose to stay close to home. We're expecting good weather. We've had just a wonderful turnout all year. It's been a fantastic season. Just seeing the stands full again. You and I remember sitting in that broadcast booth in 2020, looking out there. We could hear people ordering their hot dogs.
Well, they could hear us on the field probably too.
They could hear us. If somebody was named Dan in the crowd, I would turn my head because I could hear everything that somebody said. It's just been so wonderful to see full crowds this year. I know our owner, Andy Appleby, is ecstatic about it. Our president, Dana Schmidt. It's been an awesome year, and we're looking forward to just finalizing this thing with a bang.
Yeah, in terms of what we have in store for the playoffs, too, what do you think?
You know what? That Friday night's always really special. It's the final fireworks show on the business side. That really brings people out. School has started again, but it's sort of like the last thing in summer.
Right.
Come on out, see the fireworks on Friday night. That's always a game that's pretty packed. There's always a lot of corporate entertaining going on at that game. The Saturday night game, too. Sunday, the interesting thing about Sunday afternoon is we really have to battle it out with the Detroit Lions for some attention for that Sunday championship game. But we've always stacked up pretty well. They've always shown up, and the Unicorns have had a chance to celebrate in front of a good crowd several of those years that they've won it, which has been nice.
And obviously for you and the crowd, this is no surprise, but it's always, when you head to any minor league game, but especially here, the amount of jerseys and hats and just apparel is something they show out, for their team that day.
Absolutely. I always wonder how they choose their favorite team. I think it's various ways. I think in some cases someone lives on the east side, so they pick the Hoppers. In some cases their kids just like that unicorn logo, or maybe their daughter likes the color purple, or there's so many different reasons, but people really do choose their favorite team and they get behind them, and it's fun. I didn't really expect that before I came to this league. I thought people just showed up for the entertainment, but people really do get behind their team.
Well, we encourage you to buy tickets for the championship series as well, happening in a couple weeks, and come out next week. There's some important games still on the docket if you're watching in the stadium here today on our My Michigan TV pregame show. On the flip side of the broadcast, we'll take a look at our starting lineups and other things pertaining to this game when we get back.
How do these business owners find the time for peace of mind? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with Tryon, one of the nation's top professional employer organizations, provides access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans and its team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Welcome back to the ballpark, everyone, on Lego Day here today. The Lego characters floating throughout the concourse. I already saw Batman. I don't know who else is in store here today, but if you're in the suites, go out and meet a few new characters here today, along with our fine mascots as well. The following broadcast is sponsored by Ascension, Balfour Property Restoration, Budweiser, DTE Energy, Fifth Third Bank, Jarbcom, Jimmy John's, Macomb Community College, McLaren Macomb, McQuaid Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Refrigeration, Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, and UWM. We thank all those fine partners for what they do for this league. Now time to take a peek at your starting lineups for today's game. First for the visiting Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. It's Travius Ford leading things off as he plays center field here today. Luke Fenley will bat second and plays second. Marcus Castillo bats third and plays right. A little bit of a shakeup with the middle of the lineup here today. Vaughn Joshua trying to get some of these guys going. Eric Whitfield in the 4-hole with Dakota McFadden with the day off, available off the bench, the DH. Chris Davis will bat fifth and play left field. Eric Ramirez in the 6-hole as he plays shortstop. Aberrant right back there at catcher again. It's Stubbs and Collette at the bottom with Galindo starting in the bump for Vaughn Joshua's team here today. As for the home Utica Unicorns, you see Drew Galassi exchanging the lineup card there. His day is fairly simple, along with Ari Sikopoulos. Rare day off for those two. Brunson will lead things off and play left field. Kenny Rodriguez bats second and plays center. Noah Childress in the 3-holes he plays first. Malik Bolin back in the cleanup spot at designated hitter. Kevin Lambert will shift up to 5 as he plays short. Leandy Castro hits 6 and plays right. De La Cruz, Attilis, and Caruso at the bottom, with Caruso over on land due to Matt Parkinson being unavailable here today. Jake Fiorito will start for the home Unicorns on the bump. He's gotten a number of Sunday starts here recently. Two guys, as we kind of discussed at the top of the show, that aren't going to wow you with their velocity, but they will throw strikes and they will induce a good amount of contact. And these are some pretty decent defensive teams behind them. Obviously, this is a different lineup for the Unicorns here today. No Hodo, no Galassi, no Sikopoulos. And we did get a confirmation that, yes, they're just kind of resting those players at this point in the season.
Yeah, I suppose if you're Jesse Galindo, you take a nice big sigh of relief when you see today's starting lineup for the Unicorns. He's only human. I think it'd be okay for him to feel that way.
We'll see how this Unicorns lineup responds, because we've definitely seen a lot of mismatched lineups in the past from Jim Estienne and his squad, but they've been pretty status quo this year. I mean, Hodo has moved to the top. He was either hitting at the top of the order or the bottom of the order. Ari Sikopoulos and Drew Galassi, ever since the leadoff spot was shaken up, have been back-to-back in the middle of the lineup. Noah Childress has been anywhere between 3 and 5. So a little bit of a different look here today, trying to see how they maybe play with this different group as well. And a guy like Nick Caruso, probably good to have the veteran behind the backstop as well, catching the pitches against the staff that he doesn't know from the catching perspective, but he's faced them enough on the other side, on the hitting side, to probably know what they do.
He's taking an opportunity to give some of his depth guys at bats today. Obviously, you know what you have with Sikopoulos and Galassi. I mean, those guys are the class of the league, really. I'd maybe even throw Childress in there, too. Just 3 guys with some real thump that's carried this team a long way. But we'll get a look at a few new guys today.
Big band on the field there and in center field to perform today's national anthem. We'll step aside before that happens. It's the Unicorns and the Beavers battling when we get back on the USPBL Network.
Slide into a new home. Work with a local mortgage pro who works for you. Get a cheaper, faster, easier home loan. Find a mortgage broker near you today at findamortgagebroker.com.
As a chair of emergency medicine at an Ascension, Michigan hospital, I understand the importance of timely ER care. Stroke, heart attack, chest pain, injury. ERs at Ascension, Michigan hospitals are ready 24/7 with all the care you need. What makes ERs at Ascension, Michigan hospitals different? Your experience from door to doctor and beyond. The right combination of compassion and expertise, the right care at the right time, from experienced care teams and board-certified doctors who listen. You and your loved ones are connected to on-site lab and imaging, pharmacy and follow-up care with specialists in cardiovascular services, neuroscience, orthopedics, and more. We connect all the dots for your care so you can focus on healing and getting back to your life. Choose ERs at Ascension, Michigan hospitals.
Don't delay care for heart attack, stroke, and other emergency symptoms. Get the care you need at the closest Ascension, Michigan ER near you. Visit ascension.org/micare.
Jimmy John's Field is the perfect venue for birthday parties, summer picnics, company outings, and provides the best entertainment in Metro Detroit with great baseball all summer long. Spend your summer nights under the lights at Jimmy John's Field in historic downtown Utica.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Jeremy Idle back alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring the call here today. Unicorns take the field. Let's see how they'll line up here today behind Jake Fiorito, brought to you by Three Dimensional Services Group. It's Brunson in center, Brunson in left, Rodriguez in center, Castro's in right. De La Cruz and Childress on the corners, Attilis and Lamberts up the middle, your double play combination with Nick Caruso behind the plate here today for these home Unicorns.
That Utica Eisenhower band trying to find their way off the field. That's one of the bigger bands you're going to see.
Yeah, and it speaks to how big of a high school they are, I guess, as well.
It is. That's in all seriousness, that's part of what makes this league go is just the population out in this area of the state. Macomb County has some of the biggest high schools in Michigan. You look at just that MAC Red Conference, which is really becoming a powerhouse, not just in baseball, but also football. Just some huge schools, Chippewa Valley, Utica, Eisenhower, Sterling Heights, Stevenson, Dakota. Enormous schools with a lot of talented athletes.
Eisenhower's kind of struggled in football over the last couple of years, but they did have a nice 34-17 win over Lake Orion in Week 1 last year. A rare 1-8 season. 2 years ago, 2-5, but you see a lot of 9s and 11s and 12s before that, which means they've had deep playoff runs.
Yeah, it was a traditional power for a long time. Coach Bob Lancy, I believe, is the name. I'm reaching for that name a little bit, but longtime coach over several decades who did a great job.
I covered Chippewa Valley on Thursday, one of the schools out here as well, and kind of the big conglomerate of schools. And a nice Week 1 victory against Catholic Central.
That's very telling when you see a school like Chippewa Valley beat a quality opponent like Catholic Central. Dakota beat a Catholic League team as well.
Brother Rice.
Rice, yeah. I mean, those are huge wins for Macomb Public Schools right there. And as far as the USPBL goes, very common to see something like a marching band from a Utica Eisenhower or an area school here playing the national anthem, bringing out their supporters to the ball game to watch them. It's a great thing for our atmosphere here.
And as you kind of hear the drum line levitate through the stadium as they're outside, you just feel like it's time for football, which it is all of a sudden here in August.
That's the kind of atmosphere you're going for here in the minor league baseball, sort of that college football type atmosphere, fun experience.
Fiorito reading the first pitch of the ball game comes at 1:05. This one slinged in the breaking ball for strike one.
Travius Ford, a nice leadoff option here for the Beavers.
Kind of slowly eased him back into this lineup. They started him in the lower echelons, but it's a guy before his injury that they really liked. Juan Joshua likes his tools, definitely. The speed speaks for itself.
He's got 8 steals in 18 games.
Yeah, we were talking about this, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but he's a guy, along with Elijah Brown, who just broke the USPBL steals record that really would have been fun to watch if he had a full year under his belt.
No doubt.
Throughout the summer.
In the somewhat limited exposure that he's had here, he is leading the ball club in on-base percentage. Prototypical leadoff guy that gets on base, plays center field, swipes some bags. Of course, in the pro game, the stolen base has not been super prevalent over the last decade or so.
You know, the analytics have more so told us that it's not the best thing to do, quote unquote, but I think it does take a big element out of the game.
They're finding some ways, or they're at least searching for some ways to bring it back a little bit. I know there's been some talk about extending the front of second base, you know, the base itself, literally making it bigger so that you have a little bit of an advantage in swiping a bag.
Huh.
Bring some excitement back to the game. Makes some sense as far as making things happen.
3-2 poked at foul. They haven't addressed the Athletic. I don't know if you read that article that came out with, you know, how they might extend literal lines from second base in terms of the shift. I don't think they've addressed that yet, have they?
Not quite yet. Nothing has been decided. Or
that would look really weird. I don't know if I'm a fan of that.
I have mixed feelings in general about the shift.
Here's De La Cruz looking straight into the sun. Just looking at these uniforms here today, boy, do they pop!
Oh yeah,
in the sunlight.
They sure do. I like the white uniform with the red hat. In terms of the shift, I think we all have mixed feelings about it. You know, you want to see more offense in the game. You also like the analytics of the shift and just rewarding the smarter teams, things like that. I like that aspect of it. But there is some precedent in sports for illegal defense. You know, there are rules in sports about defense and what you can and can't do.
It's just very interesting because it's one of those things, and I think baseball, maybe more than any sport, over time has had so many evolvements. You know, one thing happening to the next. Here's the 0-1. Slider away. 1-1 now on Fenley. You've obviously had the change in the DH rule in the AL/NL. You've had just a change in the approach to hitting, even in the last 10 years. I mean, launch angle so much. 1-1 is farmed into left, a base hit here. Now the launch angle is kind of going away. I mean, it's still talked about, but it's not to the extent of, now we need to teach everybody to launch angle swing like there was happening in college for a few years. But
sure. Well, the sheer number of strikeouts is frankly boring for the fan base as well. I mean, I don't know that the individual hitters care about entertaining the fans, but I do think ball clubs care about entertaining fans. You want more balls in play. That's what makes the game exciting.
Which I think even that attitude has changed, right? Because everybody's, we got to see the home runs.
Right,
we got
to
see the offense. But yeah, I mean, line drive into left, base hit, back-to-back. Little shots by Fenley and Castillo. Pitcher-perfect start for the Beavers in this one.
That one from Castillo not hit quite as hard as the one from Fenley. Looks like he might have got it on the end of the bat a little bit, but still did the job.
I want to correct myself on something that I mentioned in the pregame show. No, the Beavers do not have a chance at first place. Unicorns did clinch. They have a chance to clinch second here today with a win.
And for those unaware, getting second place puts you right into the second playoff game on Saturday, September 10th, the semifinal.
Which I think we're both in agreement. Look, it hasn't mattered for the Unicorns much, but if you're going to pick a game to be in or pick a seed to be in, why not number 2? If you have the pitching to work with.
There is a little momentum that can go into a playoff run, and we've certainly seen the teams like the Tigers in 2006 and 2012 where they're sitting around after a playoff victory, a long layoff, and what that can do to your momentum.
Fastball away. 2-1 on Whitfield. You would have thought no 6. I mean, you hit that home run. You just feel the stadium shake, and
incredible.
All your momentum got to be on your side. But something to be said about being fresh and playing not too long ago.
You know, the Cardinals had a tough series with the Mets. They were down 3-1, as I recall. They roared back in that series, won Game 7. Had a, might have been 1 day off or 2 days off, but definitely feeling that momentum and a lot of confidence, and they took it right into Game 1 at Comerica Park and won that one behind.
There's a fly ball to center. Rodriguez, with that wind blowing straight out in that direction, able to snare it. Fenley will tag up and retreat, actually, as Lambert, the cutoff man, got to it quickly.
And that was behind Anthony Reyes, who was a kind of a nothing pitcher for the Cardinals that year, starting Game 1 of the World Series, and does the job against the heavily favored Tigers, and they just never really recovered from that, the Tigers. Had the one good pitching performance from Kenny Rogers in Game 2, but that was really it. Offense was stymied almost completely.
That was the Pine Tar hand game, right? Or is that previously?
Well, I think there was some footage of him using the Pine Tar throughout the playoffs, but yes, that Game 2 of the World Series is when it was noticed.
Here's Lambert looking to stare in out number 3. And he does after back-to-back base hits here in the first by Fenley and Castillo. Fiorito able to get some contact outs. Now down to Kara in the stands. Kara?
Thanks, Johnny. Jimmy John's Field, it's so great to see you guys back today on our Lego Day. It's a beautiful day of baseball, so thank you so much for coming out tonight. I know JJ's super excited to see you guys too, but he was even more excited to see our friend Kristen here, that he had to give her some flowers from our friends at Thrifty Florist. JJ, our field general, sponsored by Michigan First Credit Union, went out to Thrifty Florist this morning, picked out this beautiful bouquet of flowers for our friend Kristen. So thank you so much, JJ, and thank you, Kristen, for being our sweetheart of the game. All right, let's go back to you, Johnny.
Now time for your Freaky Fast Facts here today, presented by Jimmy John's. The name Lego comes from the Danish word. Actually, this is different, so I was trying to go off the scoreboard, though. 1,300 Lego pieces are made every second. Wow. Really?
That's crazy.
There are more Lego minifigures than there are people on Earth.
Are you a Lego guy, Jeremy?
I like them. I mean, I was never a Lego crazy. The name Lego. Oh, yeah, here we go. The name Lego comes from the Danish word "legat," which means play well. Interesting.
Well, I didn't play well when it came to Legos, I can tell you that.
No?
No, not good.
Check the Beavers' defense here today, brought to you by Three Dimensional Services Group behind their pitcher, Jesse Galindo. It'll be Davis in left, Travius Ford in center, Castillo in right, Collette and Stubbs on the corners, Fenley and Ramirez up the middle with Aberrett behind the plate. Everybody's a little different, right, in terms of what they played with as a kid?
Yeah, I never had that desire to build stuff for whatever reason. And I'm quite deficient at it now, I've come to learn.
Yeah, me too. I'm not, or house repairs, that's not my go-to.
I always thought I don't know if you've been to that downtown Disney area, down in Disney World, where they have all the Lego stuff and all that, the big Lego figures coming out of the water and stuff. I always thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, just the fact that it can stay together, I guess, and, wear off. Is it made from the same material?
You got me.
That's what I've always wondered, too. Alec Brunson to lead things off for the Unicorns. It'll be him, Kenny Rodriguez, and Noah Childress at the top of this lineup. We say hello to MJ watching on YouTube here today. He says he's watching from Europe. Planning to visit a game next spring, so we welcome you to do that. Hope you can make it out. Where in Europe are you watching from? First pitch to Brunson, a little check swing, foul.
Galindo sure looks difficult with regard to picking up the ball out of his hand, especially for a right-hander. It's a lot of arms and legs coming at you. He strides a little bit toward the right-hander's batter's box. Ball really comes from behind your head if you're a right-hander.
Hiding it pretty well as Brunson looks at a ball outside.
Something notable about Galindo, second best walks per 9 in the league.
Which, if you think about it, for a guy like him has to be key, but it can't be the easiest to do because the velocity, won't top out at any more than 90. That's his high so far this year. He averages more around 84. But that means you have to be pinpoint every pitch.
Which is all the more amazing with that motion, making that unique motion repeatable, which obviously he's doing if he's throwing that many strikes. Certainly he's getting his outs not from velocity, but more from deception and pinpoint accuracy.
2-2 on Brunson now. Fly ball to center. Ford cutting it off. Route number 1.
Ford's got a nice quick first step out there. Seems to get quality reads.
I feel like a lot of our outfielders have really good first steps, really good jumps. We've seen some extremely solid plays this year. Drew Galassi robbing many home runs, it seems. And it's a field, obviously you get used to it because you play on it every day if you're these players, but there's a lot of differing conditions. Like today, the wind is ripping to left center.
Yep.
So you're obviously taking note of that before the pitch comes in and where you play, but...
Well, especially on a ball like that last one where he had to take a quick first step with his left foot over his left shoulder. When the wind is pumping the other direction, you're liable to get turned around if you're not careful.
This one high in the air. Davis drifting back. Probably just a routine pop-up behind shortstop on a normal day, but that carried a bit for out number 2. Here's Noah Childress now. 345 average for Noah. He's just been solid for a long, long time, even through minor injuries that he saw hit by pitches on the hand at nauseum for about a month straight. And this is going to be booted by Ramirez.
A little bit of a tough ball to his right side, trying to backhand it there. Jump up and bit him a little bit. Childress has been a nice bat in general over the last couple of years.
Yeah, even ground balls from him, you want to check the exit velocity half the time to see how hard they were hit. That one not extremely hard, but...
No, but he rolled over the top of it. It produces that top spin, and it jumped up and bit him a little there.
I feel like in terms of the wind, we usually don't see it this gusty at this part of the day. It's
Right.
usually during batting practice on night games where we see it blow this much.
That was a nice pitch there to get him out front.
Slider from Galindo, 1-1 on Bolin. He's got a fastball, changeup, slider, and a curveball. Uses the breaking ball as the least. Heavy fastball, and then good number of changeups.
It may be because he doesn't use it very much. His curveball's only been about 9%, but it's been very effective. Not much hard contact on his curveball at all. Very, very weak OPS by the opposing hitters off that pitch. He's not overexposing it, obviously, only throwing it 1 out of 10 pitches or so. Makes you wonder, though, if he used it more, would it maintain its effectiveness? Should he be throwing it more? Those are all things that I'm sure he talks about with the development staff here.
And we don't have a high sample size, obviously, with this specific pitcher in terms of starts. This is only his second start. 2-2. Sounds like he might have broke his bat. Popped into left center. Ramirez! Oh, boy, he nearly recovered. I thought he might have had that baseball.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tough inning here for Ramirez. I think he hesitated a little bit. It was a deceptive swing because he swung hard. He's got good bat speed, but it sawed him off, and it just looked like a ball off the bat that was going further than it actually went, and I think Ramirez got a little bit of a late start there, and it cost him. That's sort of the hitting equivalent of a changeup off the mound. It felt like a changeup to the shortstop.
Tipped into the glove there by Lambert. It is a little hard to kind of differentiate that slider to curveball for Galindo. Very similar metrics, very similar speeds. Hung that one. Fair ball into the corner in left field. Childress around to score. Bolin will hold up at third. And 1-0 Unicorns after this inning. Could have been over a couple times.
Yeah, you said it, Jeremy. hung that slider up there a little bit and got the barrel out, didn't miss it. Got a little bit out front of it, but was able to tuck it inside the left field line.
Here's Leandy Castro now. Look at Lambert. His 5th double of the year, 16th RBI.
For my money, that's the most impactful type of an RBI you can get, is that one with 2 outs. Pitcher's trying to get himself back into the dugout and makes a bad pitch and you make him pay for it.
1-0 carves low. 1-1 on Castro. It's Bolin on third. He singled. Lambert on second after his RBI double. 1-1. High fly ball to left. Davis is there for out number 3. So after a couple quick outs here in the first, an error and a single and just a blooping ball in the left center field. The game 1-0 Unicorns here on the USPBL Network.
There's nothing better than a ball game at Jimmy John's Field and a cold beer from Midland Brewing Company. Hi, I'm Kyle, the head brewer at Midland Brewing Company, here to wish you a stellar time making memories at Jimmy John's Field. And we hope that you're living it up with a Copper Harbor Ale in your cup. You can find more of our selections here at the ballpark and around town at your favorite bottle shops too. We hope you have a ball at the game, and remember, enjoy responsibly. Let's play ball.
Every summer, my family loves to have a neighborhood movie night in our backyard. And with my Chevy Blazer, I can head out and get everything we need for a great night. It has plenty of room for picking up friends, and the available hands-free liftgate is perfect for loading unhandy supplies. You know, it may be movie night, but my Blazer is the main attraction wherever I go.
Lease a 2022 Blazer 2LT for just $239 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Jake Fiorito back on for his 2nd inning of work here. Couple short singles into left with 1 out in the first, but other than that, a fly out and a pop out. As for Galindo, it could have been worse just a few moments ago. And runners on 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs after the double down the line by Kevin Lambert. A lot of that in that inning, maybe not the fault of Jesse Galindo, just a couple softly hit balls to the shortstop Ramirez. Could not handle either of them, and they ended up on base, and the inning continued.
He made a good quality pitch to get out of it, getting Castro out front.
Here's De La Cruz and Caruso. Caruso covering a lot of ground right away for out number 1.
Not easy for Caruso to catch the ball going in that direction. When you're a catcher and there's a ball in the air like that, it's spinning away from you, and it's far easier to catch it if you're facing the stands so that it's now coming back to you as opposed to going away. He caught that one going away from him, which is not an easy play.
And on a normal day, that one might be a bit more straight up.
That's true.
So able to adjust on the fly a few times there. First time to Aberrett, or first pitch to Aberrett, outside. The fastball from Fiorito.
Another guy who's been a nice bat for a couple of years in this league. He was a member of the Hoppers last year. He's got some power in his bat.
Always has been right up there in terms of one of the better catchers as well.
Anytime you can find a catcher that's got a little bit of pop in his bat, that's a find. He's going to be able to play the game for a little while, I think.
Now the 2-0. low. 3-0 on Aberrett now. Outfield back, infield kind of spread out with the middle open here. 1 out and nobody on, the 3-0. Calls them back.
Umpire Gary Wagenschutz, a definite fixture here around the USPBL. He's got to lead the crew of umpires in games worked. I don't know. That's an unofficial fact, folks, but
seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
That breaking ball hung a little bit, but Aberrett not on top of it. 3-2. Last start for Fiorito was a short one against the Diamond Hoppers 7 days ago. 2 innings, 2 hits, 1 run it was earned, 2 walks and 2 strikeouts. That one clubbed into center, a base hit. Boy, they're just not barreling up balls here today, but they're finding the right areas.
Put the ball in play. You never know. Felix Aberrett finds his way on base, though. He's among the top on-base percentage guys on the Beavers roster.
J.D. Stubbs, who's batting 8th here today, will now come up. Cam Collette's at the bottom of the order. Second inning brought to you by Budweiser. We thank Budweiser for their partnership with the USPBL network. First pitch to Stubbs. Fastball trickles in for strike 1.
One of only 2 left-handed sticks in the lineup for the Beavers, Stubbs and Chris Davis.
Now the 0-1. Slider away.
Tried to backdoor that slider. Started off the plate and get it to come back over the corner. The hitter gives up on it early a lot of times and ends up taking it for a strike.
It's 2-seam fastball, curveball, slider, changeup for Fiorito. Wind ripping even more as Stubbs clubs that one foul.
The trouble with that backdoor slider is if you miss. If you don't throw it where you want, you end up leaving it right out over the plate, coming into the left-hander. It becomes a much easier ball to hit.
They choose not to hold on Aberrett with the lefty at the plate. Childress behind him at first.
He might be gone. He's inching off further and further.
We've seen it. Even a guy like Nick Kreitzer has gone on a situation like this.
Not a bad time to put on a pick play with your pitcher.
Large lead. He doesn't go here. Breaking ball away. 2-2 on Stubbs.
If you do run a pick there, you have to time it right. Because once you commit to throwing over there, you have to throw it or else it's a balk. Unless you step off the back of the mound first, which would give it away anyway.
Or even a catcher pick, huh?
You could. If you run the catcher pick, you're trying to get him on his secondary lead. If you see a runner that's getting a big secondary lead and maybe a little bit lazy getting back, that's when you'd want to run that one. Although that is a nice play with a left-handed hitter because that left-handed hitter sort of shields the catcher and the runner doesn't see it. There he goes.
It's hit over the head of Attilis as well. Aberrett allowed to go first to third with just 1 out here in the second.
That's baseball for you. I mean, that's almost a double play right there. You know, you run a hit and run or run and hit the ball hard, and if that ends up in the second baseman's glove, now it's a double play and you're out of the inning. But that one worked out.
So Collette's, who's driven in 9 this year, comes up in a big spot here in the second. First pitch to him. Slider by him. Slider, as you'd expect, a little bit harder as opposed to the curveball for Fiorito. Averages right around what he just threw there, 77 on the slider. 0-1, another one, popped up. Long run for Castro. Wow, that one ended up a lot closer than the line than I thought.
Like you said, I think the wind's blowing the ball back in the other direction there, and That was awfully close to being a double.
Don't often see that with a ball kind of hanging in foul territory and then skying its way back.
It's a fair amount of foul territory here at Jimmy John's Field.
Righty and righty. Here's the 0-2. Fastball away. Guess the foul territory makes up for the lack of gaps. It's really the only way you can somehow get a triple,
right?
A true triple. It rolls around a bit. That one does land out of play.
Sort of hemmed in here by the Clinton River on the right field side and the Public Works building there in left field, and the field kind of is what it is.
Now the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Nice slider there.
So vitally important as a hitter to put a ball in play when you've got a couple men on and one out. And it wasn't for lack of effort. He was swinging the bat up there. He wasn't taking pitches. But he got a steady diet of breaking balls and finally threw one in a location that was able to ring him up on.
Fiorito doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, just his 35th on the year. One problem has been his walks. Lower echelon in terms of where you want to be in the walks, kind of middle in strikeouts. Now the 0-1. Fastball held there by Caruso, but didn't get the call. 1-1. 2 down. This is the top of the order for Von Joshua's team here in the second. 1-0 Unicorns. They scored that in the last half. Now the 1-1. Swing and a miss.
You see Caruso back there in that one knee down position, and he often extends his right leg further out to get even lower with his glove. Makes you wonder if they were to start the runner here, would he be able to get up quick enough and make that throw to second base?
It's kind of the new style of catching, right?
It is.
To some degree. I mean, everybody has a different way of doing it.
Yeah, you're prioritizing receiving over the other aspects of catching. It is the best position to be in from a receiving standpoint, stealing as many strikes as you can for your pitcher. Obviously, as someone who appreciates that type of thing, I hope they don't go to the robot umpire thing, because that would take that aspect of the game right out of it.
I think I'm more on board with baseball changes than I have been, but I just can't come to see the robot umpire work. I mean, it'll work, but...
Yeah, I mean, the game would go on, but it takes away a major aspect of defense that catchers have worked so hard on receiving, especially recently. It's really being analyzed more than it's ever been. Pretty healthy lead at first. Now he's going 3-2. Yep.
Swing and a miss. Second strikeout in a row there for Jake Fiorito. A lot of sliders to both Collette and Ford. Snapping nicely for 2 strikeouts here in the second.
I'm all in with HR and Organizational Development Council.
I'm all in with Marketing and Business Development Council.
I'm all in with Operations and Member Experience Council.
I'm all in with CEO Council.
I'm all in with Lending Council.
I'm all in with CFO Council.
I'm all in with Technology Council.
Our credit union is all in with CUNA Councils.
Jesse Galindo out for his second inning. That's just one of the things about this game. You look at the scorecard, and it's like, oh, maybe not the sharpest of innings, but it could have been over in 3 batters, could have been over in 4 batters, but instead the 5th batter was Kevin Lambert with runners on first and second. He drove in 1. Bolin held at third, and then Leandy Castro, the very next batter, lined out. Just the way the coin flips sometimes.
Yeah, it was a tale of 2 breaking balls. You know, he threw a bad one to Lambert, and it hung up there and got yanked down the line, and then got Castro out front on one, and he just missed it. Got under a ball to left field, got him out of the inning. That happens with more finesse-type guys. You know, he doesn't have that 90-something mile-an-hour fastball, and he's going to make a bad pitch now and again. Cheer for the Groves pom-pom squad.
You know, I give them credit because I think they were trying to start the inning maybe a little earlier than they anticipated.
Yeah.
And they cut off the music.
Yeah.
They kept going, though. They knew what they were doing.
They finished the dance. Finished the dance without the music. Not easy.
Adam De La Cruz, Luis Attilas, Nick Caruso. Batters here in the second. That's 7, 8, 9 in the order today. We talked about the 2 missing pieces. They're on first and third, or 2 out of the 3. Hodo, the other, not in the lineup here today that's normally. Sakopoulos on third base coaching, Galassi on first.
Why not?
A little bit of fun for those guys.
They earn the right to have some fun today.
2 leaders of this team, or 2 out of the 3. I guess you could put Hodo in that category as well. Collette dives. You won't be able to get that. Past the puddle as De La Cruz is on his way to second. Nice rocket off the bat. 89 into the corner for a leadoff base runner.
By this league standards, De La Cruz about as much of a veteran as you're going to see, I suppose.
Very true. He came here at the very end of the 2019 season. Hit a big home run in the playoffs for the Unicorns at that moment.
I recall him being, is he from the Bronx, New York? Is that right?
He is,
That's
yes.
top ahead. I'm bringing that back. But I remember, isn't the story that he's a Red Sox fan, but coming from the Bronx? Wasn't that part of his backstory?
You're right. Forgot about that one for a minute.
That's another hit.
Gonna float in front of Castillo. De La Cruz read it well. I think he was gonna score anyway, despite the bobble by Castillo. And thankfully for Galindo, Attilas remains at first.
You got to know where your outfielders are, especially on second base. De La Cruz did a good job of that there. Crack of the bat, he was pretty much off because he knew the right fielder was playing deep enough where he would never get to that ball.
Here's Nick Caruso now. Caruso at the bottom of the order here today catching the normal Mammoth. Unicorns need a little bit of help in the catching spot here today, so they optioned him over here.
It's a very collaborative league in that regard, developmental league where you're able to do some of those player movement type things that maybe you wouldn't be able to do between different organizations.
(2-0) now on Caruso. The benches are short as well. We've seen these benches expand a little bit as the year has gone on. 4 technically for these Unicorns when everybody's back. That's a tough play. Fires to second in time. Oh, and a first! How about it?
Caruso doesn't run great, but he also came up hobbling there a little bit, it looks like. He's running off the field a little bit gingerly. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Great job by Collette to not only get in front of that ball, but to turn a double play like that. You have to get a strong feed to Fenley at second, which he did. Two down in the inning. A run is already scored. Brunson looks at a curveball inside. Infield back, outfield back. Here with 2 outs and nobody on. Fastball low and away. 2-0 on Brunson. One of the newer additions to this Unicorns team. Just 3 for 13 to start his pro career. 2-0, fly ball to left, carrying Davis back into the wind. Gone! First professional home run for Alec Brunson.
It's a little out front of that breaking ball, but he got enough of it up into the wind a little bit. It carried a little more than maybe you would expect, but he put a pretty good swing on that. Despite being out front, was able to get enough of it to lift it over the left field wall.
So as you mentioned before, kind of the tale of a couple hanging breaking balls to this point. The difference in this game, it's now 3-0.
If you get that one a little bit more outside, he doesn't make that type of contact on it. He pulled off a little bit, but because it was more middle in, he got enough barrel. Sawed that one off.
And Stubbs, I think, thought he caught that ball, but didn't in the end. So Alec Brunson, coming from the college scene. University of St. Francis down in Indiana. Rodriguez will get a new bat here. Popped out to the left fielder Davis back in the first. Ready and ready, the 0-1. Popped him up again, but foul. That was a delayed clap.
Yeah. See some folks out in right field on the blankets today. Beautiful day. Nice afternoon.
Yeah, the sun, if you need a tan, is out in full force. Above you.
Got to soak in these sunny days while we have the chance.
I have a feeling it's just going to crash way down like it crashed up
right
at the beginning of this spring/summer. That one just tucks fair. Kenny Rodriguez around the first base bag. He's got a walking double to second. It's the third extra base hit of the inning already.
Maybe going to the breaking ball a little bit too often at this point. It seems like it's not fooling anyone right now. Getting the barrel out, and they're several balls now that we've seen hit hard to left field on the breaking pitch.
I don't know if it's him just trying to adjust to starting here today, something he doesn't do a lot, and tinkering with his mix, but as we mentioned earlier, it is not something that he throws a lot.
That's true. Not traditionally.
Only his second appearance as a starter, 19 as a reliever. Now the 0-1. Outside.
You have to be mindful of when you're throwing it too. You know, sometimes you have to pitch a little bit backwards in the sense that maybe start a guy out with a breaking ball as opposed to throwing it when you're up in the count. Pitchers, I should say hitters, try to think like pitchers when they're up there.
And generally does a pretty good job limiting extra base hits. He does have 4 home runs allowed.
That was a nice spot right there.
In there for strike 3, his first K here today. 3 extra base hits later. 2 more runs on the board as well. The Unicorns lead 3-0.
Every summer, my family loves to have a neighborhood movie night in our backyard. And with my Chevy Blazer, I can head out and get everything we need for a great night. It has plenty of room for picking up friends, and the available hands-free liftgate is perfect for loading unhandy supplies. You know, it may be movie night, but my Blazer is the main attraction wherever I go.
Lease a 2022 Blazer 2LT for just $239 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
Slide into a new home. Work with a local mortgage pro who works for you. Get a cheaper, faster, easier home loan. Find a mortgage broker near you today at findamortgagebroker.com.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
What makes Detroit Mercy so unique is the fact that it's in the middle of Detroit, and especially with their service learning programs, you really get a chance to be a part of the community.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Alex Reinl takes over on the mound here in the third inning. Fiorito goes 2, gives up 4 base hits. None of them really hit hard. Gives up no runs, struck out 2, had some nice sliders in that second inning. Now a change of pace here in Reinl. 2 one-inning outings for him thus far. He has a 2-seam fastball, a changeup, and a curveball as well.
Of course, the key is that window he's coming out of. Drops way down.
I feel like we've seen a lot of pitchers with different deliveries. Keon Taylor obviously has the sidearm delivery like this as well. You've seen Galindo already in this game as well.
In my mind, this is what the USPBL is all about, is pitchers like this that are maybe a little bit different, don't have the velocity that maybe everybody noticed coming out of high school, but they do something a little bit special, in this case dropping down how he does. And if he can be effective and show a knack for getting people out, somebody's going to notice.
The wind has died down a little bit here in left center. It's ripping at a pretty good pace early. Definitely carrying some balls in different directions than what we thought they would go. Here's a first pitch fastball for strike 1.
He doesn't throw it hard, but again, coming from way down low, it's got some movement, tough window to pick up. He's got to keep it down in the zone to be effective. That Chad Bradford type motion. Anyone who's seen Moneyball will remember him. But what was once maybe considered a quote-unquote defect with Bradford is considered maybe a novelty now.
Yeah, almost in that specialist type role, if those exist anymore. In Major League Baseball, that is. No longer can you face one batter and come out of a game.
Right. That's definitely changed the role a little bit. You have to be effective against left-handers as well, or else you probably won't be able to hold that job down. This type of ball for a left-hander is pretty easy to see.
1-2, fly ball to right. Castro coming in. Attilas out. Luis makes the catch for out number 1.
Yeah, Castro had to get that ball. The right fielder wasn't going to be able to get in on that. Made a nice play. Good first step over his left shoulder.
Here's Marcus Castillo now. Single back in the first. Stranded at first after 2 straight outs, after 2 reached in a row off of Fiorito. Fastball away. Eric Whitfield would be next. He's 4 in this order for the Beavers today. Bright sunny day, downtown Utica, Michigan. 83 degrees right now. Sun plays that up though.
Yes. Likely an important appearance here for Reinhold. He's auditioning for a possible role in that championship game. If there's a few tough right-handers coming up for the opponent, Jim Messian wants to know if he can go to him.
2-0 line foul. You'd think as long as you're healthy, everybody would be available for that game because they will not play any non-publics as far as I know that week. So it's just a matter of trying to see, maybe some live pitching as a hitter, and more of the simulated game type of action maybe throughout the week.
Yep.
Stay sharp as a hitter that way as well.
Manager's got to push the right buttons in that game. I remember saying the same thing on the broadcast in 2020. The pressure's on Jim Messian to pick the right guys. He's got all of his guys available, so he's just got to pick the right ones.
3-1, flubbed on the ground to Attilis. Easy play for him. 2 up and 2 down.
Of course, the skipper has shown a knack for doing that. 4 championships now in the USPBL.
I don't think it makes him nervous anymore, do you think?
No, I sure don't. Well, just in general, he managed the Cubs. He's been on the big stages, played in the major leagues, managed in the Olympics.
First pitch to Whitfield, slammed in for strike 1. Got another cycle of that World Baseball Classic coming up, don't we? I think it's next year.
Is it this coming year?
I've slowly heard players kind of commit to that.
Okay.
Over the last few weeks, I feel like those news is the news is coming out. This guy's committing to USA or blah blah.
Right. It's a neat event.
It's drawn some buzz too.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where it is this year or whenever it is coming up, but I remember even when I was back in school, 7 a.m. you turn on the TV. Oh,
right.
There's baseball.
Yeah, right.
With major league names.
Well, I remember at the beginning of COVID there for a while, the only games on television were coming from Korea.
Right.
It was an interesting year, 2020.
Here's the 0-2. Line drive into center in front of Rodriguez for a 2-out base knock here.
It's a nice job by Whitfield in that at-bat. Not trying to do too much. It's just keeping his head down through the zone, letting that ball come to him, staying through the middle on it, not pulling off. That's the type of approach that you have to have with more of a soft tossing pitcher that comes underneath like this.
2023, March 8th to 21st, World Baseball Classic.
Oh, there we go. List the sites yet or no?
Let's see here. That's right in the middle of spring training, too. Is that the normal?
Yes, I think so. Traditionally, the guys will leave camp for a little bit. They usually impose limits on how much the pitchers can throw, and things of that nature to keep them healthy. I think it's neat to watch the teams that don't really have very many major leaguers.
On the ground, Childress couldn't get it, and everybody's safe.
I don't think Reinhold broke for first right away there. I think in his mind he thought that Childress had it, and he didn't really break for the bag right away. By the time he got there, the hitter beat him to the bag.
Taking a look at the replay, it looks like he did kind of drift over, but then stopped and then went again. Regardless, puts runners on first and second here with 2 outs. Eric Ramirez, who popped out to Caruso, will pop out again potentially here. De La Cruz shielding the sun for out number 3. After another couple 2-out base hits here in the third. That's your 5th third bank. 5th third out of the game here today. Now time for JJ the Water Boy, presented by Michigan First Credit Union. Bring the water out to your base pass umpire here today. Appreciate that, I'm sure, with the hot weather.
That's umpire Scott. You want to know a little interesting ditty about umpire Scott?
Of course.
He threw yours truly out of a game this year.
Really?
High school game.
Oh, shoot.
He tossed me from Grosse Pointe North versus Grosse Pointe South game this year.
Well, we'll have to get to more on that in a second. Here's Kara down on the field.
Thanks, Johnny. All right, Jimmy John's Field, it is time for our DTE Kid versus the Mascot race. I am here with my new friend Dallas. He's got his Crocs in sport mode. He is ready to go. Right? We're going to beat Lancelot today?
Yeah.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Take off! All right, he's coming fast out of the gate. He's rounding 2 right now. He was telling me all about how he plays basketball, so he's a pretty good athlete. All right, I'm going to meet you at home. All right, fans, let's help him get home. Here we go. Yes, good job. That's okay, Lance. We'll get him next time. All right, let's hear from you, Johnny.
That's your DTE Energy Kid Race the Mascot here today.
Of course, my favorite Kid Race the Mascot call of yours this year was certainly when Ribby took a tumble around second base. That was one of your better calls. That made its way around the office.
Career highlight there. Austin Shea, who does not often come out of the bullpen, will do so here to relieve Jesse Galindo. Had kind of a rough go about in the second. Leadoff double, single by Attila, scored De La Cruz. And a home run by Brunson, a double by Rodriguez, and a strikeout to Childress extended this game to a 3-0 lead for the Unicorns. Shea has now pitched in 16 games. This will only be his second relief appearance of the year. Let's see the last time he did that.
He's pretty heavy on his four-seam fastball, uses it almost 70% of the time. Runs it up there in the high 80s pretty frequently, max velocity almost 93. Can bring it.
Yeah, he has not pitched in relief since the 7th of July here. Did have a little bit of a rough outing his last time around, 6 hits in 2 innings. He walked 5. But when you look at most of his starts going back to the 24th of June, he's limited his walks in all but 2 of those outings where he walked 5 in both, but it's been a big reason why he's been able to kind of turn his pro career around.
Spins the heck out of his breaking ball. Doesn't use it a ton. Like I said, he's throwing about 70% fastballs, but when he does throw his breaking ball, it's got a lot of action.
Yeah, above league average for sure. It's a slur for Shea, kind of in between the slider and the curveball. There it is, outside on Bolin. Now the 2-0. Popped him up. Room for Stubbs if he wants to go after it here. Sees that it buries into the first row of seating. Two and 1 on Malik. Slugging .444. Coming into play today. The wind is picked up again. More so blowing along the outfield fence here as that one's skied foul. Four home runs, a couple clutch home runs on the way down the stretch run of this season.
This may sound old school, but I'm still impressed when I see a .330 hitter in professional baseball. You know, it's de-emphasized somewhat now, the batting average, but you know you're doing some things right if you're hitting in the 330s.
This Unicorns team has had the most guys over 300 at different stretches. A few have dipped under now. Look out, fly ball to dead center field with the wind blowing, but Ford quickly got back there for out number 1.
That ball traveled much further than I thought it was going to off the bat. It looked to me like he got under it quite a bit, but it put a pretty good charge on it, really. But hit it about 380.
Here's Kevin Lambert now, doubled and drove in a run back in the first run for the Unicorns. The Beavers have been shut out through 3 innings of ABs. There's 91 high.
Lambert really the key hit of the game so far. Hanging breaking ball that he yanked on the left field line.
There's another one shot towards the gap in right center field this time. Ford will have to play that on a skip. Lambert heading to second. Nice one out base knock here in the third.
Love to see that out of a guy in the middle of your order. Pulls the ball hard down the left field line in the first inning. Stays on that ball really nice to right center. Puts a charge into it. Gets into scoring position with one out.
And along with the walks, it's another thing that Shea has really done a good job at minimizing this year is just the extra base hits. Wasn't a huge issue at the beginning part of the year. He has given up 3 home runs and 7 doubles, but when you're doing both, it's going to be hard to stick around in pro baseball for sure. Now the 1-0.
Oh.
Shattered that bat, my goodness. It's like, how did that even happen?
Lambert retreated back to second as if the ball was hit to shortstop, but it was actually the bat. It was just it was funny to see the reaction because it was a very similar to one that you would make if the ball was headed to the shortstop.
Nearly came to the shortstop, Ramirez.
What is that, the 3rd or 4th cracked bat we've heard already today?
Yeah, as long as that, we have a confirmed another one, but as long as the other one that I can think of was in fact broken.
Sure sounded like it several times.
1-1, swing and a miss.
Right by him. It's his typical 89-mile-an-hour four-seamer right there up in the zone.
Now the 1-2. Ooh, tough slurve. And Castro down swinging. Second K tonight for Unicorns batters.
It's good quality pitching there. He threw 2 balls back-to-back that were really starting out on the same plane. He had the elevated four-seam fastball and then an elevated slurve that out of the hand, I think it looked like another fastball to the hitter, but then he found himself way out in front of it. That's what pitching's all about, really.
First pitch to De La Cruz, fastball away. He had a nice swing on an 0-1 pitch to left field to begin the second. Began that rally. They scored 2 more after the solo run in the first. Adam did not see a lot of playing time at the beginning of the year. Obviously that is tough, especially in a league like this where you're not getting your at-bats and not playing at the same time, but he's begun to turn it up as the season has gone on. 2-0, fastball away. 3-0 on De La Cruz now.
Certainly the hardest job in baseball is that part-time position player job. You just don't really get into a rhythm. You're not seeing live pitching on a regular basis, and then you have to be ready when you're thrown in there.
More often than not, you can and will have to play a lot of positions in that role as well. So that's not easy.
Of course, in the big leagues, there's always that element of the part-time guys going in there against some of the best starting pitchers, too. Of course, back in the day, they would call that Ryanitis. When Nolan Ryan was pitching, there's bound to be one of your top 1 or 2 hitters say that they're sick that day or they've got a little bit of an injury that day, and then your Tommy Brookins and your Dave Bergmans end up in the starting lineup.
Don't want to get hit by that pitch, huh?
No. I actually spoke with someone who was hit in the arm by a Nolan Ryan fastball. He was a coach over at Grosse Pointe South, played in the minor leagues, and he said it literally felt as if his arm was on fire.
Huh. Wow.
Of course, the at-bat before that, he hit a double, and that's probably what led to him getting plunked the next time up there. Nolan Ryan was quite a competitor.
I'm going to get you off the plate on the first pitch here.
Yep.
1-1 on Attilis. feel like we just haven't had that type of player to that extent. I mean, you hear about the mentality of some of the guys, even today. I mean, some of the guys that have been here in Detroit when the heyday was Scherzer, Verlander.
Well, as far as some of the brushback stuff goes, it's not quite as socially acceptable as it was, a generation ago. Guys are really taking offense to that type of thing. It seems like guys are trying to get along with their opponents a little bit better than maybe they did a generation ago. I mean, someone like Bob Gibson, you didn't want to dig in, that's for sure. He was coming after you. Even a Kirk Gibson, for that matter, as far as someone from more my generation growing up, he had no interest in socializing with the opponents before the game. Or fans, or or media, for that matter.
2-2, squirts inside, 3-2. Collette down at third base, playing real tight to the line. How many extra base hits we've already seen here today.
See how he follows up that inside slurve.
Fastball high, clipped him, doesn't matter, as he would have drawn the walk anyway. So Lambert to third, De La Cruz to second, and now Attilis to first.
Tried to follow up the inside breaking ball with the inside fastball, and he just didn't put it where he wanted.
So now Nick Caruso, who hit an unusual double play in the sense of Collette being able to turn it at third base. Good to see him still in the game. Even when he was catching out there, it seemed like he was kind of limping out to first base. Is this one lofted foul?
See what happens if he hits a ball on the ground here, how well he runs to first base. He looks like he's favoring something.
Brunson, the top of the order, is on deck. And how about this production from this lineup? I mean, you take 3 out of your regulars, and you're still popping 4 extra base hits and 3 runs and counting in 2 1/3 innings.
And there's a reason why they clinched first place with 2 weeks left, that's for sure.
High pop up. Collette has a long way to go, and
I think he lost sight of it.
Yeah, or he thought Abarat was going to come, not sure.
Pretty sure he lost sight of it. He had his glove up above his face as if he was maybe trying to block the glare.
Wind still ripping to left field. Been kind of on and off here today. Mostly on. Change directions just slightly. Now the 1-2. Ooh, slurve in on the hands. He got 2 hitters to bite in this 3rd inning on it, and he avoids a disaster here with more Unicorn runs on the board. Strands a double, a walk, and a hit by pitch. Now down to Kara in the stands here today. Kara?
Thanks, Johnny. All right, fans, we went looking around the stands today for our Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers Fan of the Game, and we came across my new friend Liz Morris today. But the crazy thing is, when we asked her to be the Fan of the Game, we had no idea that it was her birthday. I swear it was a coincidence. Yes, happy birthday, Liz. And she's actually here to see her nieces today, Lily and Evie, perform on the dance team. So it was just the perfect person for our Fan of the Game today. Now, before I send you guys back to Johnny, check out that scoreboard up there. Scan that QR code for a chance to win tickets to our September 11th USPBL Championship game. We're coming up on the championship game now, only a couple more weeks, so make sure to get those phones out and scan that QR code. Thank you so much again, and we'll send it right back to Johnny now.
There are things you can rely on in this world, like your dog being happy to see you, coffee getting you through the day, and the government changing business regulations. And when it comes to navigating those regulations, you can rely on Tryon and its team of attorneys. Tryon can also tackle time-consuming HR tasks like payroll and employee benefits, so you can stay focused on growing your business. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
We joined Green Path and instantly felt a support around us.
They developed a plan on paper, and this is how we're going to
do it. The plan that they gave me was something that was sustainable. It was something I could do. It was actually lowering my payments monthly by hundreds of dollars.
Choosing GreenPath is a no-brainer.
Second inning of work for Reinhold here in the fourth. He saw some base runners with 2 outs in the third. Single plus the error. Here he will face 7, 8, 9 in Von Joshua's order. Aberrett, Stubbs, Collette. Reinhold taking over for Fiorito, who won just 2. Struck out 2, gave up 4 singles. All of them being light contact. That's kind of been the 2 MOs of this game. The Beavers have gotten base runners on, just have not been able to score them. 2 in every inning for a total of 6. The Unicorns have hit it hard on the other hand and collected 4 extra base hits and 3 runs.
Yeah, really the extra base hits have been the difference. Bad pitch here and there, and they took advantage of it. Reinhold's a nice little change of pace to have in your bullpen here. See how long they extend him. Probably not a guy that you want to face the order multiple times. He's probably going to be more effective just going once through the order.
Got some more stretching down there, so probably just the 4th inning as long as it's clean for him. It's Calipetro kind of stretching his way out. Slider low. Reinhold with a 4-seam fastball, changeup, curveball, so no slider, I beg your pardon. Nothing over 81 in his arsenal, though. The 1-1.
When you're coming from that angle, I don't know that there's a lot of difference between a slider and a curveball anyway.
Probably not.
Same thing really with regard to a 4-seam fastball or a 2-seam fastball. You're going to get movement either way coming from that angle.
Austin Shea doing a nice job to strand some base runners in the last half for the Unicorns. This lead could have been worse. There's a wipeout curveball for strike 3, his first K today.
All about location there. He threw that ball exactly where he wanted. Coming from behind the hitter, was able to throw that ball in a spot where it darted off the plate. If you could throw it there every time, you would.
And if you could get a swing and miss every time, you'd throw it there every time, right?
Well, that's for sure. Well, I think you're going to get a lot of them if you throw it there, especially coming from that angle on a right-hander.
Stubbs, the lefty, looks at a ball outside. Now the 1-0. Popped it up. Carrying near fair territory. It will scoot foul, but kind of that awkward spot for the left fielder Brunson to have to go along the jutting part of the wall.
Stubbs had the nice line drive single with Aberrett in motion in his last appearance. You'd expect a little healthier cut from a left-hander here, facing the sidearm righty. You can see the ball a little bit better.
The wind is completely died down. That flag is limp.
Yep.
Goodness. Change and a dime. Now the 1-1. Inside. 2-1 on Stubbs.
Trying to get some swing back action there, starting that ball in on the left-hander, trying to catch the inside corner of the plate.
Floating to left. Lambert, De La Cruz. Lambert snags it for out number 2. Steals away a base hit, which is, for the most part, landed. For the Beavers here today, now Cam Collette will come to the plate. He struck out swinging back in the second. One of 2 Ks for the Beavers. 4th inning brought to you by Scott's here today. Curveball high, and whittled back to the screen.
I think Collette would like to have that swing back. That was a pretty hittable ball there that he just missed.
Club to left center field. That's going to get down a base hit, maybe more. Collette around first base, digging for seconds. He is there standing up, and now the first extra base hit for the Beavers. Stands on second with the top of the order due up.
Really back-to-back to the same location there, and frankly, he lived dangerously on the first pitch and got away with it. Went back to the well one too many times there and got punished for it.
So here comes Travius Ford. He's 0 for 2 today. Pop out and a strikeout. At bats in the first and second innings. Calipetro now warming. There's a fly ball to left center field. Carrying on Brunson. Reaches out, makes a shoestring catch.
That's a huge catch. That would have been trouble if it got done.
Kind of a sinking ball that you might have expected to carry a little bit more. How this day has played thus far. Not the case, though. Still 3-0 Unicorns on the USPBL network.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. Ticket Smarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the Ticket Smarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think Ticket Smarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at ticketsmarter.com.
Slide into a new home. Work with a local mortgage pro who works for you. Get a cheaper, faster, easier home loan. Find a mortgage broker near you today at findamortgagebroker.com.
We build roads, bridges, wind farms and pipelines, schools to skyscrapers. Our members create monuments. We operate. We're the operators and mechanics behind the advanced heavy machines that move Michigan forward. We maintain boilers and HVAC. Our members run the complex heating and cooling systems that we all depend on. Our training is second to none, and safety is our priority. We are Operating Engineers 324, and we keep Michigan running.
Austin Shea on for the 4th inning for the Beavers here. They cracked their first extra base hit in the last half, but not able to advance. Cam Collette. Ford gave it a ride to left center field. Brunson with a nice catch to keep this game right where it is, 3-0.
Alex Reinl was living a little bit dangerously that inning. Left a few balls up, a few more balls than he wanted to, especially on the breaking ball.
First pitch to Brunson, low. Lined out and homered. His 2 at-bats today. First professional homer for Alec Brunson. Hits it off Galindo, who went 2 today. Tough second inning for him. Gave up 2 runs and 3 extra base hits. Total of 4 here today. Actually 5 for this Unicorn squad.
May have been by design for him to only go a couple of innings anyway. Don't think anyone's going to get overworked at this stage of the season, especially with the Beavers basically settled into that 2 spot. Not 100% yet, but in very good position.
That one sounded like it might have broke his bat. I think there's a splinter to the left side.
Yep.
It's going to drop a hero, though.
A lot of well-placed balls today on both sides.
It's the second bat that Shea has broken. Whose bat was it? Was it? It was Castro's, right?
I think so.
That obliterated the shortstop.
Yep.
First leadoff base runner they've had on. Actually, no, the second. De La Cruz doubled to start the second. Is that one line foul? Yeah, it's kind of interesting how these Beavers are treating this game here today. Kind of going the inverse. The starter coming out of the pen, who normally starts, and the reliever starting.
Right.
Maybe that's just to get Shea ready for a situation like this, if he is not, in fact, the first pitcher to come out in the playoffs.
I'm sure they're planning on who their top 2 starters are for the playoffs. In all likelihood, they're going to have a max 2 postseason games. Not sure who Von Joshua has in mind for those roles, but everybody else, in theory, would then be in a bullpen role.
Right now, you'd think it would be Shea and Jackson, but I don't know, something to ask them, I guess.
Right. Maybe just wanted to limit his innings today.
Fastball high to Kenny Rodriguez, 2-2. Noah Childress on deck. He's 0 for 2 thus far. Short lead at first base there for Brunson as that fastball is high. Jackie Harold on YouTube asked, do the pitchers take batting practice even though they don't get at bats? For fun, most of the time, but I think that's kind of the extent.
Yeah, I think that's it. This is, it's pretty much dead. Aside from your rare two-way guy like a Shohei Ohtani, there's really not any levels of professional baseball where the pitchers are hitting in games now. The National League sort of the last one to fall on that. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think it was time to even it out.
Yep.
Whatever way or direction they wanted to go, and I think from a marketability standpoint, it was obvious, you know, to do what they did.
Yep.
Choose the DH side of things. Here's a pop-up into right. Castillo makes the catch here. And I don't know. I think in general it's good for the game. You know, you don't have your – I mean, let's face it. A lot of money is put into pitching these days. You don't have your Max Scherzers out on the base pass just for no reason, even after he's collected a single.
I think another aspect of it, too, is you have these interleague games where the American League pitchers all of a sudden have to go to the plate and then run the bases, and they're frankly really not in shape to do that. You know, if you've got an American League pitcher who hasn't been running the bases all year and all of a sudden he's trying to beat a play out and blows out a hammy, that's a problem.
Sure is. Bolin pops his pitch up on the first one.
Same ball.
That one is collected and fired. Brunson will stay at second. Rodriguez on first. Back-to-back flyouts to right.
On both balls, he threw it through to the third baseman and got away with it. You know, if you misfire on that, all of a sudden everybody's moving up a base. Might have been more ideal to hit the cutoff man. Played a little bit safer, but again, worked out.
I had a conversation with Von Joshua about the DH actually before today's game randomly. It's funny that comes up, but you know, he was talking about kind of when it was implemented. First off, in either league, as
and he was playing during that time.
Yeah, and he was like, you know, there were a certain amount of guys at that point right in that time. They were superstars at one point who could definitely field and hit at the same time, but they were at their point in their career where it was clear they couldn't play the field at least every day. And that was a big reason why it was brought to be.
Feel bad for someone like Gates Brown, who really could have had quite a career as a designated hitter, and really the prime of his career was mostly pinch hitting because there was no DH during that time. Some careers could have lasted longer, certainly.
Yeah, in today's day and age, I mean, that guy gets paid a lot of money.
You know, how about a Babe Ruth or, you know, someone of that nature who could have maybe swung the bat a little bit longer. Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
Even.
Back-to-back walks here in the fourth. Single, walk after the couple flyouts to right. This could bust the game open if Castro can find a gap.
Yep, certainly a key at bat here.
It already feels pretty open. Beavers have just not been able to drive their base runners in thus far.
Oh, got him.
That hit him in the helmet too, didn't it?
I think it might have hit his shoulder first. We'll have to get another look at it here. Might have gone shoulder helmet. But again, that's just at first glance. See if we can get another look here.
It might have been flush. I don't know.
Okay.
On the first
yeah, I think you're right. Maybe the brim of the helmet.
Yeah. Which is not a spot that you normally see. That ear flap or the top of the helmet.
Right.
Seems a bit more likely. That will drive in Brunson here. And make sure that Castro is okay as Rodriguez advances to third. Lambert to second. It looks like a pitching change as Austin Shea departs here in the middle of the fourth inning. 4-0 with the bases loaded. Back with the pitching change after this. Zach Devin takes over now for Austin Shea. Another typical starter for this Beavers team. Two-seam fastball, slider, four-seam fastball is his main mix. Also adds in a curveball changeup at times. His last outing earlier this week, 4-inning starts versus the Hoppers. Kind of one to forget for Devin. 6 earned runs, did have 6 Ks to just 1 walk. But look to shake that off here in the fourth with a run already in. Didn't look like we would get to this point with the bases loaded for the second consecutive batter, but Shea hit the last man he faced, Castro. He's standing at first now. Kenny Rodriguez, Lambert, each getting on via the walk, and Brunson led things off with a single. He has scored. 4-0 Unicorns here in the fourth. Now De La Cruz, who has a double and a walk, will look to take advantage again. High fly ball to left center field. The wind has died down, still carrying on Davis. It is gone! Grand slam, home run, Adam De La Cruz.
You know, De La Cruz had a definite approach when he walked up to the plate there. He was looking for a first pitch cookie from a new pitcher and just decided that he was going to do his best to jump all over it, and he did not miss it. It's not something that you see a lot of hitters do with a new pitcher. They usually want to get a little bit more of a look at him, but he decided to take that approach, be more aggressive, and certainly paid off and put a stamp on this game possibly.
I think the third home run, or third grand slam that De La Cruz has had in a USPBL uniform.
It's the type of thing that over the course of time, a scout with an organization might notice, new pitcher coming into a game. Don't try to sneak one past De La Cruz. He's going to be hacking right away.
2-0 on Attilis now. He was hit by a pitch back in the third, singled in the second. Off the end of the bat. Fenley bobbled, but was able to pick it up midair, and the inning ends after 8 batters and 5 more runs come across. The big blow, the grand slam by De La Cruz to left center. The game is wide open now.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. TicketSmarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the TicketSmarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think TicketSmarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at TicketSmarter.com.
Eight batters coming into the inning in the fourth for the Unicorns. They score 5 more, extending their lead to 8-0. Now Austin Calipetro will take over for the Unicorns here in the 5th. Takes over for Reinl, who went 2, giving up 3 hits. Striking out 1, but shutting out this Beavers offense. They have yet to score in this game despite having a base runner in every inning. 2 in 3 of the 4 innings. Just not been able to hit any in the gaps really today.
Got to believe if you're a betting man and you took a look at these lineups prior to the game and you see the Unicorns are sitting 3 of their horses and they're already in the catbird seat as far as the standings go, you certainly would not expect this score at this point.
Calipetro walked 3 in his last appearance. That was a 2-inning outing versus the Mammoths. Was earlier this week on Wednesday in a non-public.
Another guy that's pretty heavy on his fastball. About 69% of his pitches, average velocity over 89, max of over 92.
He'll face Fenley, Castillo, and Whitfield here in the 5th. That's 2, 3, 4. It's 8 runs off 9 hits and an error. No runs off 6 hits and 1 error for the Beavers. So that line score doesn't tell you a little bit about how this game has gone. 2 home runs for the Unicorns thus far as well. Fastball high. Calipetro likes to work quickly, as you see. Here's the 1-0. And in the hands and fouled off. This is his 15th appearance, most of them being out of the bullpen. Has thrown just 20 in the 3rd innings. Done a good job at limiting extra base hits this year. Want him to be a little bit more consistent in terms of getting ahead of hitters. The walks nearly even with the Ks. Generally not a good recipe for success, especially for a reliever. Now the 2-1. Fastball high, 3-1 on Fenley.
He's got a nice big frame, Calipetro does. That downward tilt. Very difficult plane for the hitter.
That finds the corner for strike 2. Outfield back and spread out. Infield is back with nobody on and no outs to start the 5th. Castillo and Whitfield will be next. 2-3-4 here. 3-2 tipped into the glove for strike 3. That's strikeout number 21 on the year for Calipetro.
The ball had a little giddy up on it. You can see from his average spin rate of about 2,200, he's got some action on that ball. Jumps at the hitter at the plate.
It's 4 Ks now against the Beavers. A lot of their outs have come via the contact. Here's the first pitch to Castillo. Slider dips in low. Fastball, changeup, slider for Calipetro. Not afraid to use the changeup regularly. But it is heavy fastball, 69%. There's some fade away from Castillo. Wind is going up and down in this game. Fairly light right now. Attilis has to run a long way, can't get that one.
Sort of a defensive type swing out of Castillo there, but well placed and got a base hit for himself.
So now Eric Whitfield will try to put another good swing on one. He had one in the 3rd for a base hit. Flew out to center field in the 1st.
Had a nice approach against the soft tosser in his last at-bat. We'll see how he looks against the harder thrower here, what type of an approach he might take.
A little bit of everything here today in terms of the pitching staff. Obviously Fiorito, not your flamethrower, but different from Reinl as well in terms of his delivery. Calipetro, the hardest throwing pitcher we've seen for the Unicorns thus far. 0-1 from the slide step. They say that pitch doesn't count. Calipetro flustered with it.
It's pretty late. It was a pretty late call. Not sure if the hitter asked for it either, because he ended up swinging at the pitch, so it's hard to tell exactly what happened there. He may have asked for timeout late and didn't think he actually got it.
So the count's still 0-1. Here on Whitfield. That bit Caruso, or did it just, maybe he missed it. His reaction looked like he got hit, but. Either way, 1-1, or 0-2 the count now. 5th inning brought to you by Dunham's. We thank Dunham's for their partnership here with the USPBL network. Now the 0-2.
Pitched him out.
Yeah, it looked like a Castillo was well off the bag. We've seen Childress play behind most runners so far here today. That could be here just because of the lead at this point, but.
Pitched out twice. Interesting. Not holding the runner on, almost trying to entice him to go and then pitching out.
Well, now you know they're not going to pitch out again.
Now you got to go, don't you?
He might.
He's got a walking lead.
Hopping around down there.
Yeah,
he's staying. Here's a pop-up. Caruso has covered a lot of ground with those today, but Childress will make the play.
All kinds of little games going on in baseball between runner and pitcher, runner and catcher, manager to manager.
Because that's in the mind of Calipetro and Caruso at that point. Like, yeah, he's maybe going to try to go because we pitched out twice. He hasn't gone on the previous 2 pitches. Then he's bouncing around. Then you're thinking the mind of both of those guys, oh, he's going. Oh, he's not.
Of course, in general, when you're down 8-0, you're not really looking to steal bags. But now he's going. Uncontested.
0-1 on Davis. Popped out in the first, reached on an error in the third. Wind blowing hard again. Here's the 0-1. Off the end of the bat. Slider there from Calipetro. Davis the lefty, Calipetro the righty. 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning unscathed. Here's the 0-2, fastball away. 1-2 on Davis now. Eric Ramirez on deck. He's 0 for 2 today. Fly ball to left center. Rodriguez was playing him in that direction. Ball cap falls off, but makes the catch. They're able to strand the one-out base knock here in the 5th. Still 8-0 Unicorns.
Make your move with a quick and easy mortgage from Genesis Credit Union. We have mortgages to fit your life. Genesis Credit Union. Visit us today.
Dunham Sports is a proud partner of the USPBL. Big names, low prices, delivering value since 1937.
At Fifth Third Bank, we're working hard to make banking a Fifth Third better, which means we put 166.7% into everything we do.
I think you can only give 110%.
Well, with free checking, fraud protection services, and an automatic savings tool to help you quickly reach your goals, 166.7% is possible.
Oh, wait till my 8th graders hear about this. They're gonna be like, it's not possible. But I'll guess it is.
This is banking, a Fifth Third better.
They call me Prospects. Since the day I was born as a diver's watch, the challengers of the world have taught me many things. Life is not a numbers game. It's about challenging ourselves. No matter what happens, just follow your heart. These pioneers drive our generation forward. Not by setting records, but by never giving up. Keep going forward. Prospects.
Available at Lucido Fine Jewelry.
Zach Devin getting ready for his first full inning of work here in the 5th. Gave up the grand slam home run to De La Cruz. Or is that Chris Davis? No, that's Devin. They look very similar with the hair and the stature. Devin has a little bit more height on Davis. Who knows? We might see a position player pitch in this game if it continues to be this far of a spread. Not something you see much in the USPBL, though.
Sure saw it a lot in the Tigers season this year.
Yes, we have.
Cody Clemens practically a member of the pitching staff.
You know, I feel like just throughout Major League Baseball, that's become more of a thing for whatever reason. Here's a line drive to left. Ford cuts it off for out number 1.
It's always those utility player type guys, though. You never risk one of your regulars out there on the mound getting hurt. At least it feels that way.
And Don Kelly, Danny Worth got their share.
Yep. Ryan Rayburn.
Yep.
You been out to any big league games this year?
A few. I caught a Yankee game at Yankee Stadium earlier this year.
Oh, nice.
Also was at a White Sox game out at Guaranteed Rate Field, I think 2 weeks back when I was in Chicago.
Okay.
Ever been there?
I have. That's I'm toward the bottom of my list, probably, that ballpark. Nothing really stands out about that one.
You know, the disappointing part about it. Here's the 0-1 to Brunson. Line drive to center. Ford going back and now coming in for outs 1 and 2. I got I think it was 500 level seat, so that's the top.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't confirm this, but it seemed to be the case just reading online and by looking at the ballpark and how I got to my seat. But you can't walk around the main concourse when you're in the upper deck there.
Right.
So I wasn't even really able to walk around.
The old Tiger Stadium was like that when it came to the bleachers. You couldn't get into the bleachers unless you had a bleacher ticket, and it was a separate entrance entirely.
Didn't know that.
Guaranteed rates. Part of the problem with that ballpark, too, is there's not much of a neighborhood there either. There's not a lot of atmosphere around the ballpark. You pretty much either drive in or take the train in and go to the game, and then you leave. Certainly prefer the Comerica Parks of the world where they're in downtown areas or Fenway Park or Wrigley that's in a neighborhood, that type of thing.
2-0 is in for strike one. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. The ballpark village is
the
new idea.
Yep. Cardinals have a nice village. The Braves.
Makes sense, though. That atmosphere coming.
The New York ballpark's not much atmosphere either, really. Yankee Stadium kind of isolated, and Citi Field is a very strange neighborhood. It's surrounded by body shops and collision places and things like that. It's a strange part of Queens, but obviously you're in a city like New York. There's not a lot of great real estate up for grabs,
Sure. Fly ball to center. Ford lost this one. High tops it, though, at the cut of the wall for out number 3.
He did a nice job staying with that ball. He was having a lot of trouble picking that up off the bat.
He creates all 3 outs here in the 5th inning. By far the quickest inning we've seen here today in an 8-0 game.
Why are all these business owners smiling? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with one of the nation's top professional employer organizations provides access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans and Tryon's team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
One thing that makes Detroit Mercy unique and different from other universities is that the faculty truly care about you and they're always there to help. Whether it's asking questions after class or going into the office hours, they're always there to lend a hand and really make you feel at home.
People are here to work together, and whether you have a question or you're discussing topics within the class, you can go up to your professor and they know your name. They're just willing to help you become a better overall student.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Well, the wind playing a factor certainly on that last ball, maybe in the sun as well. Travius Ford able to recover all 3 outs in that 5th inning. All line outs as well. 1, 2, 3 it went for Zach Devon, recovering after the grand slam to De La Cruz. Galopetro with his 2nd inning here in the 6th.
He dropped down a little bit on that last warm-up pitch he threw. Hadn't seen him do that yet.
He will face Eric Ramirez, Felix Averett, J.D. Stubbs here in the 6th. Wind blowing out once again to right center. First pitch on the ground to Lambert. No, it's De La Cruz who cuts it off for out number 1.
Rolled over that one. I'm sure he'd like to have that swing back, especially on a first pitch. First pitch you really have to look for a ball that you can handle. One pitch, one location really, and jump all over it if it's there. That's really not a very healthy swing for an 0-0 pitch.
Aberrett today, single in the second, struck out in the fourth. Righty and righty here. The pitch, fastball inside.
Saw that tough breaking ball away from Ryan his last time up there.
One-0 shot and 8 up. Childress over at first, trickles behind. Aberrett advancing to second. Castro not able to get to it in time.
Childress having a little bit of tough time at first today. Got handcuffed on a ball earlier. That one he played off his hip a little bit.
Normally DHing at least this year. I know they tried a little bit of everything with him last year, first, third, outfield, but he's been primarily a DH, and he's done a good job at it. Talked about his hitting earlier at .330 for a good majority of this season. Here's J.D. Stubbs now trying to take advantage of that. The Beavers have yet to score in this one despite 7 hits. Here's a flare to left center. I've seen a lot of hats fly off. In the process of making these catches, that's out number 2.
You know, it's easy to say from where we're sitting, but as a first baseman, if at all possible, you want to at least try to knock the ball down and give yourself a chance to race him to the bag. Hate to see one get by you for extra bases like that.
That one really didn't even get that far, which was more unfortunate for this defense as well, but Attilas will ensure that it doesn't matter as the run is stranded at second base and they maintain this lead.
Every summer, my family loves to have a neighborhood movie night in our backyard. And with my Chevy Blazer, I can head out and get everything we need for a great night. It has plenty of room for picking up friends, and the available hands-free liftgate is perfect for loading unhandy supplies. You know, it may be movie night, but my Blazer is the main attraction wherever I go.
Lease a 2022 Blazer 2LT for just $239 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
James Crick takes over on the bump. Here for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers in the 6th. He'll face the middle of the order, 3-4-5, Childress, Bolin, Lamberts, who have been successful more often than not here today. Crick takes over for Devin, who went an inning and an inning and a third. 1, 2, 3 in the 5th off contact outs to center. Grand slam given up to Adam De La Cruz on inherited runners in the 4th.
Crick, one of the harder throwers that we'll see today. Average fastball velo over 91. Can max it out almost 95. Uses it a lot, as you might imagine, over 70%.
Scoreless in his last 3 one-inning outings. All his outings, 1 inning with the exception of an inning and a third back in the 13th when they really needed him to throw. 13th of August, that is. Strike 1 to Childress. He's 0 for 3 today. Reached on an error and scored in the first. Struck out looking in the second. Flew out to right in the fourth. 91 backed him off. 1-1 now. Fastball, slider, changeup for Crick.
Has the appearance of being that nice, easy velo, too. You know, it doesn't look like he's maxing out effort all the time on every pitch. Just comes out of his hand nice and easy.
Hard changeup in on the hands there. 1-2 on Noah now. Gets a decent amount of swings and misses on that pitch. There's 93. Dusts him off inside. 2-2.
86, 85, 86 on that changeup. That seems hard, but when your fastball's at 92, 93, it's noticeable to the hitter.
2-2. There it is again.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough pitch. Not only was he really pulling the string on him there, but it down and away, which is really the ideal location for that pitch. Hitter really pulls off, has a hard time staying back. You have to have the right approach with 2 strikes. With that type of arsenal, really think about hitting the ball to right field, right center, stay on it, see it longer.
92 to Bolin for strike 1. Crick, the hardest thrower we've seen thus far today.
That looked more like the slider there.
I think it's the first time we've seen it today.
Yeah, it's quite a bit slower than his changeup. Which is sort of different. I think more often than not, you'll see a pitch like a slider harder than a changeup, but it's a little bit different with his arsenal.
The 0-2, fastball high, and on the eye level of Bolin there. Crick does not give up a lot of extra base hits, just 3 doubles this year.
If I'm a hitter facing a guy like Crick, I'm looking for the fastball with less than 2 strikes and just hoping I get it in a location I can handle. Of course, that's not a location you can handle right there.
85 on the changeup.
Probably not trying to throw his changeup there. Usually you try to stay away from the hitter more so with the change. Just missed it. But 2 strikes, you really have to be mindful of the slider and the changeup and just try to be short and hit the ball to right field. See the ball longer. Let it travel.
That bat continues now for Bolin. Third baseman Collette's in tight down the line. He's been that way really since they collected 4 or 5 base hits, or extra base hits, I should say, in the first 3 innings.
Bolin did a nice job fighting that ball off.
I'll try the 1-2 again.
Oh, hit the Bull mascot on that one.
2-2 now on Bolin.
Heads up for the slider down now. Get one at 92 over your head. Got to come back with something slower, I would think.
He does. It nearly hits him. He works back from a 1-2 to a 3-2.
Right pitch, wrong location. It's just got to be in more of a spot that's going to tempt the hitter, and that's not one the hitter's going to go for.
Three-two, swing and a miss, 93 away. Bolin checking to see if that was a strike if he didn't swing.
Didn't fool around there, did he?
Did not.
Tried the slider on 2-2, didn't hit his spot, comes right back with the fastball at 93, just blows it right by him.
Back-to-back 3-2 counts, back-to-back strikeouts here in the 6th. Now Kevin Lambert with the last shot. He's reached every time. Double, walk, run scored. Drove in an RBI himself back in the first.
I think Lambert took the approach that I talked about there, was looking for the fastball first pitch, just missed it. Didn't miss it by much.
Let that baby supply the power. When you look
Yep.
at the wind,
Yep.
straight out right now to right center. The 0-1. Off the cleat into the glove of Ramirez, and he's able to feed it over to first. It's a nice bounce back play. Strikeout, ground out. Clean inning for the first time here today for Beavers pitching.
We're the financial champion of Michiganders. Whether you're a goal-getter or dream chaser, an empty nester, or up-and-comer, anyone in Michigan can bank with us. Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union.
Every summer, my family loves to have a neighborhood movie night in our backyard. And with my Chevy Blazer, I can head out and get everything we need for a great night. It has plenty of room for picking up friends, and the available hands-free liftgate is perfect for loading unhandy supplies. You know, it may be movie night, but my Blazer is the main attraction wherever I go.
Lease a 2022 Blazer 2LT for just $239 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
We build roads, bridges, wind farms, and pipelines, schools to skyscrapers. Our members create monuments. We operate. We're the operators and mechanics behind the advanced heavy machines that move Michigan forward. We maintain boilers and HVAC. Our members run the complex heating and cooling systems that we all depend on. Our training is second to none, and safety is our priority. We are Operating Engineers 324, and we keep Michigan running.
Montaner on the mound for the Unicorns now. One of 4 pitchers used thus far. Fiorito started, went 2. Rhino relieved for 2. Calipetro relieved for 2. And now it's Montaner, who could conceivably go maybe the rest of the game if they really want him to. He's flip-flopped between starting and relieving.
Crafty lefty out of Puerto Rico certainly spins the heck out of every ball he throws. He's got a lot of action on really all of his pitches, well above league average. Curveball averaging over 2,500, as well as the slider.
2,500 at least a couple of years ago was right around the major league average for a curveball. Here's Travius Ford, the top of the order. Ford, Fenley, Castillo in the 7th. 8-0 the lead for the Unicorns. Beavers have had at least one base runner in every inning, but have yet to get anybody to advance. Fastball at 89, in for strike 1.
Well, if they're going to get back in this ball game, this is where they need to start it right here, top of the order, here in the top of the 7th.
Swings over the curveball there. 0-2. That looked like the slider, actually. Velo plays up for Montaner when he relieves, as is the case for most. Unless you're a long guy, but averages 87. Probably more 89, 90 when he relieves. Here's the 1-2, hit the knee of Ford as he bounces around after that one.
Had the right plan there, just the wrong execution. On the 0-2 pitch, he showed him the fastball up and away, and then he came back in, but just pulled it across a little bit too hard, and now you've got the Beavers leadoff guy on base. Montaner seems like a interesting piece to possibly use out of the bullpen in a championship game in the right situation. Not sure what the plan is as far as who they want to start, that type of thing, but if he's not the starter in that game, seems like somebody you could effectively use out of the pen. Playing behind the runner again here despite the base stealer, and he's definitely going to go. Really uncontested. You got an 8-run lead. You're just not worrying about it at this point.
Yeah, that is the interesting piece to not playing until Sunday, obviously. All your arms are hot, all of them fresh and available. It's how much of a leash you give your pitcher then. And we've seen some high-scoring championship games over the last couple of years, so it's hard to know, I bet, sometimes.
Well, thinking back to that 2020 championship game, you've got a no-doubt starter, Ty Hensley, available, rested, definitely going to start him. You assume he might even go all the way, but it doesn't work out that way. The Beavers actually get out to a lead, and they end up using a few more pieces out of the bullpen, roar back, and end up winning the game with their closer on the mound in the 9th inning. But you can draw it up a certain way. It doesn't mean it's going to play out that way. Last year's championship game, Unicorns and Hoppers, just a fantastic game. Hoppers were a strike away from winning their first ever championship on a couple occasions. Umpire Gary Wagenschutz behind the plate, got to give him credit for making a quality call on a ball that hit the left field line, and he got the call right.
Up the arm of De La Cruz a little bit, able to deposit it to first for the first out. Here's Marcus Castillo now.
As a reliever here, you don't want to worry too much about that runner behind you. You've got an 8-run lead. You just don't want to complicate things at all. Just get your outs at the plate. It's easy to get distracted by a good base stealer behind you, but it's really not important at this stage. You're in the 7th inning. You've got an 8-run lead. Just execute your plan at the plate.
Shot foul, 1-1 now. Castillo hitting third. Shuffling their lineup a little bit here today with McFadden getting a blow. Kind of a reset day for McFadden, who's been struggling a little more as of late. Still hitting 350 plus as a Beaver, since he came over. Just a few at-bats with the Mammoths earlier this year. One and two on Castillo. He singled back in the first, grounded out in the third, reached on an error in the 5th. Outfielder's kind of a normal dub despite this win. Now the 1-2 slap foul. Castillo not a monster power hitter, but he has hit for some. Couple doubles, 3 home runs, driven in 17. That one gonna
better let that
fair,
roll. He's gonna let it roll, but yep, not much you can do with that.
Kind of the do or die play, deciding what you want to do with it.
Yep. Tough break from Montanari. He made a nice pitch there. He's got a tough arsenal, even for a right-handed hitter, because he throws his fastball in. He's got that curveball with nice depth that he's pretty adept at keeping it away from the hitter. It's very tough to get settled in there. You don't know what to look for.
7th inning brought to you by Jarbcom. We thank Jarbcom for their sponsorship of the USPBL Network. 1 down, runners on first and second in an 8-0 game. First pitch, popped him up. Short outfield, Lambert and company, leaning. Rodriguez for out number 2. He's lost his hat. 3 straight plays he's made, I think.
I noticed I did my first stint of coaching 8-year-olds this year with my middle child, Blake, who's sometimes the bat boy over here. And I noticed that 8-year-olds get very distracted if their hat falls off like that.
Really?
They'll stop mid-play. If they're running the bases and their helmet falls off or something, they'll stop right in their tracks.
Well, I've seen my nephews at times play with the dirt.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or play with the blades of grass when they don't get anything in the outfield. You know?
Oh, yeah. It can be a boring game at the young ages. That's a nice pitch right there, lefty on lefty. It's awfully hard to stay in the box with that type of depth.
0-1 on Davis, the left fielder here today. The pitch, swing and a miss. Curveball by him.
Yeah, he sure looks like he's having a tough look at that curveball. If you throw him a fastball at all here, you make it way off the plate just to show it to him and then come back with another curve. Another curve, got him. Yep.
Just pins the corner for Mutzener's first strikeout. He strands a hit by pitch and a single here in the 7th inning. Still 8-0 in this game on the USPBL Network.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
Jimmy John's Field is the perfect venue for birthday parties, summer picnics, company outings, and provides the best entertainment in Metro Detroit with great baseball all summer long. Spend your summer nights under the lights at Jimmy John's Field in historic downtown Utica.
Dunham Sports is a proud partner of the USPBL. Big names, low prices, delivering value since 1937.
James Crick will stretch to his 2nd inning of work here tonight.
Looked pretty sharp last inning.
He did kind of a, maybe a higher pitch count than you would have think just because of the at-bat to Bolin, but struck out 2, got Lambert to ground out. And now we'll face Castro, De La Cruz, and Attilas. If needed, Shaw is warming up. Not sure that this one will go a full 9 here today as we're only in the bottom of the 7th here at 3:15 Eastern time. We started right on the dot at 105. We'll see.
How many of our Sunday games have gone the full 9? By unofficial count, probably not very many.
I haven't been here for a decent amount of Sundays, so I can't speak to it.
Seems like they've been longer games for whatever reason.
I know last Sunday was. Infield back, outfield kind of at medium depth, especially in left and right. Ford has played a deeper center field here today. 2-1, tipped into the glove, fastball at 91. We saw 93, 2-3 times in that sixth?
And when he elevates it especially, it's a tough pitch to catch up with. Pretty easy arm action. Contributes to the deceptive nature of his fastball.
2-2, whiff and a miss. That's the third K here in the seventh inning, or the sixth and the seventh for Crick.
Nothing tricky about it. He just came right after the hitter with his fastball. Maybe a little bit up in the zone a couple of times, but right by the hitter without much trouble. De La Cruz having a nice day for himself today. We'll see what happens here.
Double in the second, walk in the third, and a grand slam home run to left center that went 355 feet in the fourth. So at bats all in a row there. Here's the 0-1. Tried to check his swing. He did not. 0-2. Attila's on deck. De La Cruz batting seventh here today for Vaughn Joshua. 0-2. In there for strike three. Wow.
Just froze him with the fastball. I think he's thrown 6 fastballs in a row now, and De La Cruz with the 0-2 pitch, he wasn't looking for a fastball right down the middle. You know, he was thinking either a show me pitch off the plate or a breaking ball, and he just managed to freeze him with 93 right there. A little bit on the outside part of the plate. You know, it was pretty well located.
First pitch to Attila's high.
Another fastball.
See if he sticks with it here. Saw some good changeups in that sixth inning. There's the first base hit.
One too many, maybe.
Talking earlier about kind of the DH, how that was entered into play when Vaughn Joshua was still playing. Another kind of random conversation I had with Vaughn before the game, which is something I had no idea. I guess maybe why would I unless I really researched it. But he said back in the day when he was playing and maybe shortly after, the American League umpires and the National League umpires would both have different strike zones. Do you know why?
Was that the thing with the inside protector, the outside protector?
Yes.
Yeah.
I found that fascinating.
I did hear that, and that's the only reason I knew that is because I spend way too much time watching old games. But
well, we'll talk about that more in a second because I think it's kind of an interesting thing after this here on the – actually, we're going to stick with you here now to Kara down in the stands.
Thanks, Johnny. All right, Jimmy John's Field, now tell me, who doesn't love free pizza? Right? Okay. So today we have a Hamlin's Pub Lucky Row. The winner is going to get a voucher for a free small personal pan pizza with 1 free topping. Okay, so our Lucky Row is section 104, row 7. You guys are our lucky row today. You guys will be going with a Hamlin's Pub voucher. All right, back to you, Johnny.
At Fifth Third Bank, we're working hard to make banking a Fifth Third better, which means we put 166.7% into everything we do.
I think you can only give 110%.
Well, with free checking, fraud protection services, and an automatic savings tool to help you quickly reach your goals, 166.7% is possible.
Oh, wait till my 8th graders hear about this. They're going to be like, it's not possible. But I'll guess it is.
This is banking, a Fifth Third better.
Moon today comes out for his second inning of work here in the 8th. He'll face Eric Ramirez, Felix Aberrett, and J.D. Stubbs. So kind of back to that point before we headed off. The American League umpire would have the big poofy chest protector. I guess that would be the logo, just like a catcher.
Looked like a big, almost pillow type device that was outside of your shirt. You would see it.
So that meant for them that they couldn't crouch down as far, and also couldn't literally see over it
right.
to see the lower pitches.
Yep.
But the umpires in the National League had less of a cushion. But I just found it really interesting. I mean, I guess two separate leagues, two separate rules, just like we saw with the DH too for a long time.
Right.
But
and keep in mind there was no interleague play. They only saw each other at the All-Star game and the World Series.
Sure.
And it really a separation, but a different league entirely. Obviously different players, different traditions, different umpires, different norms, I guess you could say. I think I believe the story was that the American League pitchers would get the high strike more high fastballs, more velocity up in the zone, that type of thing was more the tradition. The National League had actually a long run of dominance really for a while, 70s with those Reds teams. It was just considered a little bit of a cut above at that time.
Ripped to left, a base hit there for McFadden, fresh off the bench. He hits it 95 in front of Brunson in left on a pitch that only came out 89. Vaughn also kind of saying, he transitioned from the National League to the American League, obviously, at some point in his career. And in the National League, it would be fastball, not getting behind most hitters in counts. But he said in the American League, once he switched over there, number one, the games were longer because there were deeper counts, but also a lot of 3-2 counts and a lot of breaking balls compared to what he saw in the National League.
I don't know if that's because with the DH, there's just more power hitters, more dangerous hitters, so you see more breaking balls. I don't know what the rationale for that would be necessarily, but
yeah, I asked him. He couldn't really point his finger at it. 1-1 on Aberrett.
For a while there, they would alternate World Series with regard to the DH as well. Oh, look at this. Nobody to cover, though.
I don't think we can count that as a pickle, can we?
Yeah, that's probably. I think you need at least one throw, right?
Here's the 1-1. High fly ball. That'll likely hook.
That might go.
Foul. Wow, it is just foul.
That was close.
It's closer than I thought. I think you had a better read than I did on it. The wind is kind of blowing, though. Well, I don't know. It was going left to right. Now it's
going more toward left now, it looks like.
The flag in right center field has been moving all kinds of different directions here today and all kinds of gusts in terms of.
You look at those, the championship flags in left, and the wind is going out.
Definitely, yes. 1-2, slider in. 2-2 on Aberrett now. I feel like if those differences in today's, especially like the umpire stuff, people would jump on that so fast.
Oh, yeah.
And who knows how much they did or didn't then, but.
Well, the leagues are really, there's never been less separation as there is now. And starting next year, you actually play every team at least once, including in the interleague play.
Really?
So, yeah, every team is going to be on your schedule at least once starting next year.
Huh.
So
did not see that.
It means less in-division games, which I think most people are okay with. They're, some of the Yankees, Red Sox fans out there, maybe not, but for the most part, I think most of the country is good with that.
3-2, low. I mean, it certainly allows you to market your players better, which I think is something that fans have been saying for a long time. Hey, you got to market your players better in this league.
Let's say that for whatever reason you're a fan of a certain team that's not in market, so maybe you transfer to Detroit from St. Louis or something like that. You shouldn't have to wait every 6 years to see the Cardinals come to town. It's every other year, fine, but having to wait that long, I don't think that's a good thing. If the best player in baseball is in the National League, you should be able to see him in your town more often than once every 6 years.
Curveball high to J.D. Stubbs. Stubbs today had a single in the second, couple pop-outs, one to the infield, one to the outfield in his last couple at-bats. Line drive to right, look out. Castro going back to the warning track. That is off the yellow edging out there and in play. McFadden to third base, he'll score. Aberrett will stop at third. Stubbs made a bid for his first professional home run, or actually that would have been his second, but either way, it does drive a run in, the first for the Beavers tonight.
Von Joshua making the right call at third base there to slow his runner down. Nobody out. You're down by 7 runs still. No need to push it there and try to send another man home. Got to string some hits together here.
So he's already used McFadden, has Sullivan and Guzman available on the bench if he wants to go to them. I don't think it's a matter of necessarily wanting to get other bats in there right now. Here's a fly ball to right at Castro for out number 1. That's going to score run number 2 all of a sudden as Aberrett comes home. They've gotten base runners on. They've gotten hits. Have they been the hardest? No, but
right.
They just have not been able to capitalize in scoring position.
Now you're playing from behind. You got to fight the urge to try and do too much. You just need to string some base runners together here. The sac fly, not really what you want there. You're gladly trading the out for the run there if you're the Unicorns.
First pitch to Ford, curveball away. Travius hit by a pitch back in the 7th, stole the base. (1-0), swing and a miss. Hard to know whether you call it defensive indifference or not.
Right.
I mean, we saw the ball or the runner go very earlier in the game in the 4th or 5th. I don't know if
it's sort of a mixed message with the Unicorns defense right now. They're not holding the runner on first most of the time, yet they do seem to be watching him still. They had back-to-back pitch outs at one point. So I'm not sure what to make of that. I don't think you can call it defensive indifference when you're still pitching out at times. Might just be a philosophy just to play the infield back, cover more ground.
3-1 on Ford now. Infielders playing semi-in here with 1 out and the runner on second. Roped foul. Jeremy Addo alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring the call here today. Glad you could tune in on this Sunday afternoon, wherever you may be watching from. 3-2, carved inside. Second walk of the inning.
That's a nice take by Ford there. There's nothing you can do with that pitch, really, that back foot curveball. If you swing at it, it's very difficult to handle. Your best hope is to recognize it and take it, and that's what he did. He needed base runners and was able to trot down to first base now.
So do you miss the days when we were calling the games in the stands?
No, not really. I mean, we had a good time. It was unique. I think it's a unique time in professional baseball history. I wouldn't say that there was no redeeming qualities about it, but it was sure awkward, and it was a strange time in the world.
How many weeks did that take before we complained enough to get us out of that situation?
I don't think
2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was that much. There was maybe 5 games that we actually called from the stands, and I believe the reason for that was just
spacing.
The spacing and not really wanting anyone to be working indoors if you could avoid it at that time. Of course, early 2020, we didn't know as much about COVID as people learned over time. As it turned out, at least from the way we were able to track it, there really were not many transmissions, if any known ones, at Jimmy John's Field. Just it seems like the spacious outdoor areas, it wasn't transmitted very much. But early on in that process, people were very worried about it.
2-2 on Fenley now. Well, that takes me back to my high school days, calling ground level. This is not ground level. I mean, this is very similar to where we are right now in terms of the height, but ground level behind the middle backstop.
Right. UAD Jesuit?
Yes. IHM Field.
I remember seeing you at a regional game.
Yeah?
Yep. Grosse Pointe South versus UD at Grosse Pointe South. I think I recall seeing you there.
Yeah, I feel like you beat us in a heartbreaker once or twice.
We did. You guys beat us as well. I think we played in about 4 straight regionals, if I recall. I think we might have traded 2 and 2. You had some good ball players there for a while. TJ Shook, Harrison Wenson, who went on to, I think, the Angels organization.
Still playing, yeah. He's playing for the Tennessee Smokies right now.
Okay. Very strong defensive catcher, strong arm.
He's no longer with the Angels, though. I had this conversation with someone the other day. I can't remember who the Smokies are affiliated with, but
okay. He was actually thrown out of a regional game one time, and I still talk about this play because I work on it with catchers, but he was thrown out on a play at the plate. He was catching, and he sort of dove into the runner head first with his helmet, and the umpire deemed it to be an aggressive act and, sort of a head-to-head contact kind of thing, and actually threw him out of the game. And the only reason I still talk about it is because I try to teach catchers to make that tag and sort of spin out of there as opposed to initiating a lot of action, or I should say a lot of contact at the plate. You don't really want to be a sitting duck there. You don't want to make any more contact than you have to with the base runner. You really want to secure the ball, make the tag, and spin out of there without risking someone jarring the ball loose, or God forbid the extreme thing of getting thrown out of a game like Harrison was.
I remember that moment. Here's the 1-1.
Oh.
Flings the bat.
Hit umpire Gary there.
1-2 on Castillo now. Bases are loaded. 3 walks in this inning by Moontanay after he hit a batter in the 7th. Allowed a single as well before retiring the last 2 outs. Now the 1-2. Swing and a miss. One of his sharper sliders here in the 8th inning. An important out number 2 after 2 runs have already come in.
That's another one where your only hope is to lay off that pitch. You're not going to do anything with it.
Now Eric Whitfield, who's the 8th batter to the plate here in the 8th. We'll look at a ball low and in. 90 miles an hour there from Moontanay, I believe his highest today. Slider low. It's Stubbs on third. He's got an RBI double in this inning. Ford on second. He has a walk. Fenley on first, also with a walk. Reaches out for that fastball and skies it foul. Two and one now on this designated hitter today. Chris Davis on deck.
Oh, tough pitch.
Kind of on a mission to these last 2 batters, it seems.
Do we have any indication of if this could be the last out or not at this point? Are we past the 2.5 hour mark?
2-2. Three and 2 on Whitfield now. Runners moving with 2 outs. Slider in there for strike 3.
Backdoored right on the black. Not much you can do.
Wow. 2 Ks with the bases loaded in a row here in the 8th on the USPBL network.
Companies are competing for talent like never before. With the complexities of handling tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and other HR functions, it's easy to see how a professional employer organization like Tryon Solutions makes all the difference. Tryon empowers businesses of all sizes to attract and retain talent by offering access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. Ticket Smarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the Ticket Smarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think Ticket Smarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at Ticketsmarter.com.
First State Bank is a locally owned and operated business. We're part of your community. At fsbcares.com, you'll find ways that we're making a difference by featuring locally owned and operated businesses, providing access to helpful financial resources, and engaging with community. FSBcares.com is part of our commitment to the neighborhood because strong neighbors mean stronger communities. Where good neighbors do great things. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Nick Shaw takes over on the mound for the Beavers. What a couple innings it was there from James Crick. Brought his good fastball, brought a good slider, but it was mostly fastball that he was able to pound Childress, Bolin, Castro, and De La Cruz with for his 4 strikeouts in 2 innings.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about him. He has a good approach, comes right after the hitter. Nice easy motion. Deceptive when he does throw his breaking ball. Or his changeup, for that matter.
Well, the Beavers could have slotted themselves much closer in this game. They did get their first 2 runs back in the 8th, or in the top of this 8th. But stranded the bases loaded. Back-to-back strikeouts by Mountaineer, Castillo, and Whitfield. Each Kang looking and swinging respectively. Here's Alec Brunson. Get a home run in the second, his first as a pro. Fastball at 91, whittled back there. Nineteenth appearance for Shaw. He's only going over 1 inning once. That was actually the first full 2-inning outing for Crick of the year as well. We mentioned that he had not gone past an inning in, I think it was 1/3 before today. That one rung the bell of Aberrant as Gary makes sure he's okay. Shaw fastball slider. 91 to 93 on the fastball this year. 1-2 back to the screen.
Certainly a focus on getting guys work at this point. The game all but in hand. And really the spots in the standings are all but in hand as well.
You got to think that the Beavers will at least get one more win by the time this year is said and done.
Or the Hoppers could lose, of course, too.
True. 1-2. This one popped up foul. So in terms of the public games, wait, I gotta skip forward, huh? This is the end of our August games. So I gotta look into September here. So obviously
it's hard to believe we're in September almost.
Sure is. Here's the 1-2. Fastball low. The Beavers publicly will have 3 more games. So they're that in and itself. None against the Hoppers on the public side. Let's see in total what they have here. Here's the 2-2 to Brunson. Golf foul. They have 4 more games in total. So 3 out of the 4. Or actually, no, I take that back. It is just 3 in total, unless they have not entered a non-public next week for them, but which is possible on the schedule thus far. 2-2 again. Straighten them up. Fastball at 92. Including today, 3 out of their last 4 are against these Unicorns, interestingly enough.
Be interesting to see how they play that. Obviously, if you're going to win the championship and you're the Beavers, you're going to have to beat the Unicorns on September 11th. Not before then, but on September 11th.
Well, Crick and Shaw racking up the Ks here between innings 6 and 8. Kenny Rodriguez, he had a double back in the second, walked and scored in the fourth. First pitch fastball, sparks in for strike one, playing center field here today. Outfielders have had to pay extra attention to the conditions of the wind. It's blowing straight out again to both right, center, and left. Rodriguez looking to find the wind there, maybe.
Yeah. Just in general, obviously this is a generality depending on the pitcher, but the elevated fastball becoming a very effective pitch in the game today. Hitters just not as adept at getting on top of it. A lot of that has to do with the launch angle of the average guy now as well.
Even for some guys, the elevated slider.
Yep.
Which is interesting. I mean, obviously, if you get it high enough, that's one thing. But the margins can be pretty tight on that. So that's now 6 strikeouts in the last 3 innings for these Unicorns, who had trouble recording it out through the first 4. They sent 6 to the plate in the first, 6 more in the second, 5 in the third, and 8 in the fourth, where they scored, to this point, all 8 of their runs. Grand slam, the biggest hit to left center field back in the fourth. 2-0 on Childress.
That was definitely the biggest knock of the game, the De La Cruz grand slam. You bring in a man out of the bullpen, and he plants the first ball over the left field wall. It's sort of putting a stamp on your victory right there.
Certainly at this point as well. I mean, this could be a 3-2 ball game theoretically, but even then, 3-0. Just how they had gone along at that point in the game felt a little bigger than it actually was.
Yep.
2-1, high fly ball to left center field. Ford watching that one fly.
Wow.
Noah Childress with home run number 5.
That's going to help Noah feel better about his day. He had a little bit of a hard time over at first with a couple of balls. Hadn't really gotten a hold of anything yet today, a couple of strikeouts, but he's going to go home feeling a little bit better after that one. Ball went a long way, too.
92-mile-an-hour pitch that he took to left center. Now you wonder if that scoreboard wasn't there, where some of these balls would go.
Right.
Because it does take up a good amount of space out there. I mean, it's a high one.
It's a good-sized board.
First pitch to Bolin. Fastball in there for strike one.
It's hard to see on the feed, but there is a net in front of it to protect it. So sometimes it's hard to see how hard it actually hits off of the board.
Slider by him, 0-2 now. Everybody back in the infield. Collette has been playing down the third base line since they hit all those extra base hits earlier. Oh, tough hop. Ramirez was there.
That was a very unusual hop for a ball that wasn't hit very hard.
And actually, that's not Ramirez anymore. That is Fenley, who has switched to second. McFadden pinch hit for Ramirez, so he's now at second. A spot that you don't normally see Dakota at either. Everyone else has remained the same. Stubbs at first, Collette at third. It's Davis in left, Ford in center, and Castillo in right. 0-1 ripped back to the screen.
You got an assist, by the way, on the YouTube chat. The Smokies are in the Cubs organization.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a ballpark just outside of Gatlinburg, Smoky Mountains there.
Yep.
Finds his own for strike three. How about it? Shaw and Crick combined for 7 Ks in 3 innings on the USPBL network.
Every summer, my family loves to have a neighborhood movie night in our backyard. And with my Chevy Blazer, I can head out and get everything we need for a great night. It has plenty of room for picking up friends, and the available hands-free liftgate is perfect for loading unhandy supplies. You know, it may be movie night, but my Blazer is the main attraction wherever I go.
Lease a 2022 Blazer 2LT for just $239 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
Chris Davis leading things off here in the 9th. Boy, if these Beavers had put up even a couple more runs in the 8th, you'd feel a little bit better about their chances here. But now you face this guy as well, Keon Taylor, who's been pretty close to lights out at points. First pitch fastball in for strike one.
Another guy who's awfully deceptive, especially against right-handers. Pretty healthy mix for him between his sinker and his slider.
Tough play for Attila's backhands. Jump throws. Not in time.
It's good effort. That's about all he could have done with it.
Infield leadoff base hit for Davis. Decent in that scenario considering the speed of Chris Davis. Not sure the speed at which he's running these days. Did have a little bit of a back issue earlier on this year, but still.
Yeah, most guys are probably going to beat that ball out with barring some type of an outstanding play.
Here's Dakota McFadden. First pitch he saw, he singled. Straight off the bench, pinch hit for Ramirez in the 8th. And that kicked off an inning where they saw 8 come to the plate. The bases were loaded before 2 strikeouts in a row by Castillo and Whitfield to end the threat. Now the 1-0. Slider in.
Considering his cross-body motion and that arm angle, the fact that he's able to run his sinker up there at an average of about 86, 87 miles an hour is really pretty impressive.
We saw the side armor earlier Rhino throw just 79-80 on his fastball. 2-1. Leaped at that one, but farmed it out of play there. Now the 2-2. Slider in. The defenses remain the same. Here for the Unicorns throughout this one, it's Brunson in left, Rodriguez in center, Castro's in right, De La Cruz and Childress on the corners, Attilas and Lambert up the middle with Caruso behind the plate. Caruso being borrowed for this one. 3-2. Out of play again.
Really looks to be trying to crowd McFadden with everything, both the sinking fastball and the slider, throwing it mostly on the inside part of the plate.
We've seen a lot of pitchers pitch McFadden away, especially after that extremely hot start that he got off with this Beavers team. Here's another rocket into left for a base hit. 92 off the bat. And back-to-back singles to begin the 9th here. Felix Aberrett now had a single in the 2nd, reached on an error in the 6th, and walked in the 8th. Came around to score then as well. Wellington Guzman and Ryan Sullivan, the only two left on the bench here for Vaughn Joshua. First pitch to Aberrett. Fastball in there for strike one.
Did a nice job getting that ball on the outer half, especially after in the previous at-bat throwing everything in.
Oh, one slider away. 1-1 on Aberrett now.
It's not easy to get it out there on his glove side, especially with his stride foot landing where it does.
1-2 on Felix. Well, this game's still out of Grand Slam reach. We saw one Grand Slam earlier for Adam De La Cruz. Couple runs, they can get themselves one of those for a tie score, but no other action, even with the way this inning has started in the bullpen for the Unicorns. They don't have many arms left. Bewley would probably be the only one. If they really want to go to him, I'm not even sure he's available here today.
Yeah, it looks like they're planning on Taylor finishing this one out one way or the other, at least at this point. So only a pitch away. All it takes is a ground ball.
Here's J.D. Stubbs. Swing and a miss on the fastball there that tailed away from him.
That's an awfully tough pitch on the black for a left-hander. Tailing away from him, like you said. And with the angle he throws from, that ball looks like it's practically coming from around the corner.
Here's strike two. Back-to-back singles to begin the 9th.
I think as a hitter, he saw that ball in a similar spot as the previous pitch, but this one, the slider, coming toward him.
Broke his bat again, maybe. Did he catch that in the air?
I thought he did. Maybe not.
Looks like he did not, according to the call. That's the second out at second base. Davis is safe at third. Stubbs at first. And now Cameron Collette is the last shot. Collette had a sacrifice fly back in the 8th. That led to the second run for the Beavers, and the double in the 4th. Travius Ford, the top of the order, is on deck.
Looks like he's going to get a slider away here.
Got a little bit of a piece of it. 0-2 nicked into the glove here. Stick around. Our University of Detroit Mercy postgame show coming up shortly here on the USPBL network. Carroll will talk with the player of the game on the field and in the ballpark as well.
He may throw that pitch again, but perhaps go out even a little bit further on 0-2. Maybe start it off the plate, get him to chase.
Ooh, that's a pitch that's been called here today for sure.
That could have gone either way. I think he tried to really get it out there and actually missed his spot and threw more of a strike than he wanted.
Crick and Shaw definitely got some of those calls the previous couple innings, but 1-2 with 2 outs here in the 9th and runners on first and third. Little Whittler, Keon Taylor is a guy that fields his position well, does the same there, and that will end the ball game here today. Good effort by these Beavers batters in the last couple innings. They sent 9 to the plate, stranded the bases loaded on back-to-back at-bats, and only scored 2 here in the 9th. The first 2 reached off a couple singles and a strikeout on the USPBL Network. Back with the postgame.
If I hit a home run, then you know what's going out of the park. Yeah, bases loaded, we ain't letting up. Scoring back to back, you can count it up. United we stand together, divided we fall. Ain't no turning back, we done came too far to turn around and have a seat now. We don't compare, cause we unicorns. Illuminate the dark with my uniform. Every time you see me stand up and salute me. It ain't no competition, not even from you. If I hit a home run, then you know what's going out of the park. Yeah, bases loaded, we ain't letting up. Scoring back to back, you can count it up. United we stand together, divided we fall. Ain't no turning back, we done came too far to turn around and have a seat now. We don't compare, cause we unicorns. Illuminate the dark with my uniform. Every time you see me stand up and salute me. It ain't no competition, not even from you.
All right, thanks, Johnny. Jimmy John's Field, I am here with our Michigan Orthopedic Player of the Game, and these guys are obviously very excited for him today. So I know you have 3 home runs on the season so far, and 2 of them are grand slams. So just tell me, like, what's up with that?
Honestly, I mean, it's not hard when you got a team of guys that are always on base, you know? So credit to them, man.
Well, okay, as we're heading towards the end of the season, too, just a little one, so that's okay. As we're heading to the end of the season, you guys have been doing really well these last couple games. So how do you guys plan to keep the foot on the pedal and keep going forward?
Honestly, we just wake up, we get ready to hit, and whatever Skip says, that's what we do.
Whatever you guys say is what goes, right? All right, good game, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And Jimmy John's Field, we'll see you next week. Whether on the broadcast or here on the field, we are so happy to see you today. We'll see you next time with us.
All right, thanks, Kira. This is our University of Detroit Mercy postgame show here today. We saw a little bit of everything in this game here tonight. A lot of pitchers were used on both sides. For the Beavers, it was Galindo, Shea, Devin, Crick, and Shaw. For the Unicorns, Fiorito, Reinl, Calipetro, Montane, and Taylor. The interesting part of the later stages of this game was how many strikeouts the Unicorns batters faced. It didn't matter in the end, though, as they scored 8 in the first 4 innings, 1 in the first, 2 in the second, and a big 5-run 4th inning from that man right there, Adam De La Cruz. He kind of made the difference in this game and felt like it put it out of reach. Some good at-bats later in the game by the Beavers as they put together an 8-batter 8th inning, scored a couple. The first 2 reached in the 9th against Keon Taylor. He did a good job to snap a few sharp sliders off, struck out Aberrett. He got fielder's choice for J.D. Stubbs, and then a ground out right back to him from Cameron Collette here today. Dan, your final thoughts?
You know, big picture-wise, I think today was important just in terms of the Unicorns getting their work in. Obviously, they've wrapped up this #1 seed. They seem like a loose ball club. I mean, you see the guys messing with the player of the game, Adam De La Cruz, there after just having some fun. And they seem like a loose club at this point, just trying to do their job and get their work in. And really what matters now is finding the roles for that championship game on September 11th. Who's going to be starting on the mound? Who's going to be in the starting lineup? And what pieces are they going to in the bullpen when it comes down to that time?
Well, for our director here today, Jeremiah Hergott, Stewart's back in our control room to our left side. Kara as well, working hard on the broadcast. Dan Griesbaum Jr. My name is Jeremy Otto. We'll see you next week. Couple more weeks left of USPBL ball before the start of the playoffs 2 weeks from now.